Ronin Audiobooks presents The Mexican Swimmer, written by Paul Kyriazi, performed by Julian Scott Urena.
You can screw your way home, like Burt Lancaster swam his way home in The Swimmer. The voice comes to my head clearly as I stand on the balcony of the Utopia whorehouse in Ciudad Nuevo, Mexico. You can do it. The voice echoes in my mind. It's like God speaking to me from the burning bush. Even with a hangover, I somehow feel great, basking in the pre-dawn light and being the ruler of all I survey. At least all I can survey from the balcony of the highest class brothel in town, with the highest class prostitute lying asleep in the room behind me. What a night, I think as I take a deep breath of air. And what a beautiful morning. As I exhaled, the idea of the swimmer returns to me. My bodyguards and I happened to see part of the movie on a bar television a few nights ago, so it's fresh in my mind. I think, well, there are no swimming pools around here to swim home. But this area certainly has enough whorehouses to make it possible to screw home. I turn to my two bodyguards, who have stood watch out here all night, and say, "Oigan, muchachos, I'm gonna do what that guy did in The Swimmer." "And what's that?" the big one named Ernesto asks me. "Well, you know," I tell him. "Like in that movie where Burt Lancaster swims in a bunch of rich people's pools and gets closer and closer to his house. He swims home, like he says." "What's he talking about?" I hear my smaller but stronger bodyguard Armando whisper to Ernesto. Well, from where I'm standing, I can almost see my house 3 kilometers away. But a hill full of homemade shanties blocks its view. "No, I can do it," I say to them. "You see, over there? Since they built the Amiga Caliente, there's a line of whorehouses all the way to my home." I chuckle and say, "I'll do it. I'll screw my way home." "But boss, that's not swimming home," Ernesto says gently, so as not to talk down to me and arouse my anger. "So what?" I tell him. "It's almost like swimming home." Though my mind is blurry from last night's partying, I'm determined to follow the epiphany that has come over me. "Sí, pero," Ernesto says hesitantly, "in swimming, you can catch your breath and swim on. But when you lead your buzarino to water, you can't always make it swim firmly." Armando laughs out loud, but when he sees I don't, he chucks it back. Looking at the brothels that line up from my balcony here at the Utopia, down into the valley and then up the hill, I start pointing and counting. Let's see. There's La Escalera next door, and the Mandalay, and then the Amiga Caliente. After that is the Bamboo, La Serenata, the diamond penthouse at the top of the hill, and then the Iguana on the other side. After that is through the forest and then maybe 1 kilometer walk to my place. Ernesto makes a confused face and says, "But boss, why would you want to do that?" "Because the brothels are there," I say to him, knowing the expression is more for mountains than whorehouses. "Is that what you want to do, boss? We'll do it," Armando says. "Nah, I don't want you two along," I tell him. "It's my idea, and I'm gonna do it alone." "But boss," Ernesto says to me meekly, "it's dangerous." "Not to worry," I reply. "This is zona de tolerancia." "Sí, jefe, they tolerate it here," Ernesto agrees. "But it's not the policía I'm talking about." "Mira, cállate," I tell him. "I'm gonna do what I want. You guys take off, okay? Hasta luego." Ernesto and Armando look at each other, shrug, then turn and head down the balcony stairs. I go into the room where Rosita is still sleeping wrapped in satin sheets. It's the most beautiful room in the most beautiful brothel in town, and Rosita is the most beautiful girl in Mexico. Some might give me an argument on that point, but Rosita was a beauty contest winner in 3 places: Guadalajara, Juarez, and Matamoros. After that, she decided to cash in her beauty for pesos. A lot of pesos per night. Hell, I never minded paying her for what she had to offer me. I get out of the silk robe that the hotel gives customers and toss it on the floor. I'm still a little dizzy from last night's 26,000 pesos a bottle of Barrique de Porciano Porfirio tequila, but I managed to get into my clothes. I put on my Borsalino hat and pull it down low on my head. I toss a few extra 1,000 pesos on the pillow next to Rosita, go downstairs, and head over to La Escalera, the first brothel on my swim home. When I enter, the red velvet wallpaper makes my eyes hurt. The manager, Alejandro, greets me with a smile. Though surprised to see me at 5 in the morning, he knows what my usual is and leads me to the elevator that goes up to the Santa Ana suite. In just a few minutes, all my usual food, drink, selection of women arrive. I don't eat, but I quickly drink down a rum-spiked horchata. The Aztecs and Mayans called it the drink of the gods, and I welcome its cinnamon taste. Next, I choose my favorite woman when I frequent this place. Her name is Sonia, and even though she's not as beautiful as Rosita from last night, Sonia is earthy and worth her weight in cocaine. As the other 3 women leave the room, I wonder if I'll be up to the mark with Sonia because of all the energy I expended on Rosita just a few hours ago. But then it occurs to me that perhaps Rosita and I just drank, gambled, and fooled around a little on the bed before we both passed out. So perhaps my energy is still intact for Sonia. And even if I had spent myself on Rosita, it was hours ago, so maybe I could still grab the heifer by the udders. Well, whichever way it was, I just finished milking Sonia, so I know she will give me high marks should anybody come to check on how I perform. My next stop is the Mandalay. As I enter its plush settings, I start to wonder, what the hell am I doing this for? I just mentioned this wild idea of mine to impress my men, but now I'm stuck actually having to do it. Do it and complete it. And I better complete it with gran estilo, as no doubt the rumors of what I'm attempting to have already begun to spread. Because Ernesto and Armando have big mouths. They're always telling tales of my exploits to anyone who cares to listen. That's the problem with all the people that I know. They talk behind my back, but when they approach me, it's always with a smile and their hand extended, palm up. Well, what the hell? This is the price of success. And miraculously, I still have enough energy to have relaciones sexuales con una señorita erótica que se llama Carmelita. She'll no doubt speak well of me to anyone that stops by the Mandalay. However, entering the newly opened for business Amiga Caliente, I know for sure that I'd be no good in bed for the rest of the morning, no matter what the quality of the women are here. So I pick out a very young and shy señorita and take her to the best room that is available. Her name is Teresa. Named after a saint she might as well be, because I'm too spent to touch her. How long have you worked like this? I ask her, pouring us drinks of overpriced tequila. She answers almost inaudibly without meeting my eyes. A week here, a couple of months at another place. Well, you can relax, I say to her gently. I just want to sit and drink here for a while. I've had a long night. I need some quiet. She keeps looking down, but nods her head. Looking at Teresa's virginal face reminds me of a badly cast Christmas pageant that I had once seen in my church days. I say badly cast because the Virgin Mary in that nativity play was just too virginal looking to be believed. And as virginal looking as Teresa is, I believe that for the rest of her working life, when she gets down on her knees, sadly, it won't be in prayer. Be that as it may, the important thing is that if my bodyguards ever check this place out, Teresa will be the last girl that they will figure I would choose to bed. And even if the manager told them which one of the girls I had selected, they wouldn't believe this shy young girl if she said that I never touched her. So, my macho reputation will still be intact. Drinking with her for about 30 minutes, I think that this place, the Amiga Caliente, is rightly named for me tonight. Because instead of a bedmate, Teresa es mi amiga, except not so caliente. I give her a couple of $1,000, pat her on the head, and leave. Making my way to the next house of prostitution, named the Bamboo, is a little scary even though I'm packing my .38 caliber pistol. The homes are becoming increasingly shabby, with many poverty-stricken people sleeping right on the sides of the street. I've never been in this low-life area of town, and it quickly starts to disgust me. Inside the Bamboo, there are only a few girls here, due to the lateness or earliness of the hour. They're wearing cheap Japanese kimonos and geisha wigs, but I know they're from the Philippines or Taiwan. I mean, who are they trying to fool? Me? I grab a drink at the bar, ignore the two girls that try to hustle me, and then head for the door. I knew right after I thought up this foolish swim home idea that I couldn't actually screw my way home in every one of these places. I mean, as I already mentioned, that was just to show off to my men, but if I go inside each whorehouse, look around, have a drink or two, that would count as visiting the place and make it okay for me to say that I screw my way home. And who will have the nerve to question my word? Nobody. On the way to La Serenata, I have to keep my eyes half shut to not let the ever-increasing filthy streets and people affect me. Now, with the I don't know how many drinks in me, plus my hangover from last night, I'm pretty wobbly on my feet. Still, I make it to La Serenata. And what a run-down whorehouse it is. As I enter, the stench of smoke, cheap perfume, and fungus overwhelms me. It's all I can do to make it past the homely-looking girl sitting here and get to the bar. I order a soft drink to not put any more alcohol into my blood, but the bartender laughs, pours me a cheap whiskey, and asks for 3 times more than it's worth. He obviously doesn't recognize me with my borsalino tilted low on my face, because if he did, he'll give me the good stuff, if there is such a thing in this rat hole. He'll give me the good stuff and say that it's on the house, and then offer me every hooker in the place, de gratis, as well. I feel like telling him who I am, just to see him shaking his boots, but I don't bother. And then I hear one of the girls from behind me say, "Rodrigo?" I turn on my bar stool to see a very plain-looking woman, about my age, smiling at me. Her broken teeth gives me una sensación extraña, and I look away from her. "Rodrigo?" I look back at her, but try not to focus on her face. "Who are you?" I ask casually, giving her appearance. Her smile fades as she says, "I'm Gabriela Santiago. Don't you remember me?" "Oh, from high school?" I ask her. "Oh, I'm so happy you remember me after all these many years," she says, treading the ridge between truth and sarcasm with the skill of a mountain wolf. I do remember her. It was in the 10th grade. At a friend's basement, I forced her to lose her virginity. 3 months later, I sent her to a dark upstairs room overlooking a butcher shop to stop the birth of our child. I turn my back on her, down my drink, and walk out the door without looking back. Have you ever noticed how the most miserable-looking bars and brothels have the classiest names? The crummier the dive, the more deluxe-sounding label the owners give it. The Diamond Penthouse is no exception. Hijo, it's worse than a 200-peso casa de citas. And Jesus, they have girls here that I wouldn't touch unless I had a kilo of penicillin shot directly into my brain. I need the same shot to even think about drinking out of one of those glasses at the bar. Right away, I turn to leave, but a large hand grabs my arm. I look up at the gorilla of a man who has hold of me. "Hey, amigo," he snarls. "You came and saw the girls. Now you have a drink, and you pay." I look up at him calmly and say, "My name is Rodrigo Villalobos." The bastardo lets go of my arm like it's on fire and backs away from me like a wounded matador retreating from the bull. "I'm sorry, Señor Villalobos," the gorilla says in a little girl's voice. "I didn't know it was you." I give him a look that he'll never forget, and then I leave this manure pile that they dare call the Diamond Penthouse. Now, as I walk on towards the iguana brothel, the street is obscene, with garbage, filthy animals, and low-life peasants. I almost throw up, twice, and it isn't from all the alcohol in me. It's with loathing at what this neighborhood and people have come to. Anyway, it's just one more whorehouse to go on my stupid adventure, swimming my way home in a river of sewage. I'll have a drink there and call it a yes, I screwed my way home morning. After that, it's through the forest and then just 1 kilometer down to my house. It's around 7 a.m. as I enter the iguana. Thank heaven there is no music playing as my head is throbbing its own rhythm. And thank God what's left of the prostitutes are half asleep on cigar-burnt sofas. As I approach the bartender gives me a look, and I know from the expression on his scarred-up face that he recognizes me. That's good, because I'm sure he won't try to force me to drink what I don't want to drink, or try to force some woman on me either. I sit down and order a whiskey. He slowly reaches under the bar and then quickly comes up with a baseball bat and swings at me. I partially block the blow with my arm, but the bat still connects to the side of my head. As the slumbering girls wake up and scream, I fall to the floor, and before I can fully recover my senses enough to protect myself, he's on me with a goddamn switchblade knife. I grab his hand before he can stab it into my chest, but it cuts my right arm. Working my foot into his stomach, I push him back hard, and he flies into the bar. I quickly get to my feet before he can attack me again. What the hell is this? I yell at him. I'm Hernando de la Vega. He screams at me, getting up and waving the switchblade. I don't know you, I tell him honestly, waiting for his next attack. You had my father and brother killed. He yells and starts to move forward. I pull out my snub-nosed .38 and he stops cold in his tracks. Often, whorehouse workers wear bulletproof vests, so I don't fire at his chest. When my bullet hits, it explodes like a candy-filled piñata with a cherry bomb going off inside it. I turn my back on De La Vega's body and leave the iguana with my head screaming in pain and my arm bleeding. Who was that guy? I ask myself. I know many De La Vegas, but I can't place him. However, as I walk on, yes, I remember the De La Vegas, the father and son eggs that I had to break to make an omelet. They were trying to stop my climb to the top. So what was I supposed to do? Give up all that I had worked for? Let my dreams go unfulfilled? I did, in fact, order them both killed, and my loyal men, Ernesto and Armando, took care of it efficiently. Well, the De La Vegas weren't the only ones that had to be taken care of, I tell myself as I walk away from this cesspool of a neighborhood and head towards the forest. Screw all those nobodies that had gotten in my way. They're history. Their names are forgotten by me, I say to myself, as I painfully stumble over snarled tree roots and push the hanging vines out of my way. I can make it. All I have to do is to get through this godforsaken jungle of a forest, and then it will only be another kilometer down the hill to my home. However, the pain in my head and arm is getting worse. My right jacket sleeve is soaked with blood. Jesus, can I even find my home? Or has my sense of direction left me because of the blow from De La Vega's bat? And my arm? Will I bleed to death before I get anywhere near my house? What a screwed-up idea I had this morning. Burt Lancaster, indeed. What the hell was I thinking? As I dizzily make my way past the insect-ridden tree after tree, thoughts of my life come to me. How I had been an altar boy to my sainted mother's pride. How I had been sent to the best schools, the best university, had the best opportunities. And now I shuffle off the names of people I killed like a rattlesnake sheds its skin. The pain, alcohol, and nausea finally get to me. and I stop to heave my guts out onto the trunk of a Montezuma cypress tree. Is this what I've become? Some low-life injured animal staggering through the forest, looking for a place to die? I'm the worst piece of garbage in the world, worse than any of those condemned girls that worked the houses that I had just hopscotched through. And after this, will the final tragedy come? Not being accepted by God to enter his kingdom? God forgive me. I am finished. However, after a few more trees and vines, I see the light at the end of the forest. Just a few more steps ahead. Walking this last kilometer is a blur for me, but then I think I see my house in the distance. Is it really my house? Yes, the back garden. But where's the gate? I hardly ever enter my place from this direction. I climb over the small brick wall with my head and arm throbbing more violently in pain than ever. Heading towards the back door, I trip on a small potted plant and fall into some dead rose bushes that scratch my hands. I see one of the black roses turn half red from the blood dripping down my jacket sleeve. Finally, I see the back door. I knock on it, but there's no answer. Again I knock, and there's nothing. I look through a small window next to the door, but I see only darkness. I sit down on the marble landing and lean back against the door. Will I bleed to death here? God take me. I fall back as the door is opened. The strong but gentle hands of my houseman Gilberto grab me. He calls my assistant, Ramon, for help, and they pull me into the house. They carry me to my back parlor and lay me down on a sofa. I'm too nauseous and in too much pain to speak. Gilberto and Ramon take off my sweaty suit, bloody shirt, shoes, socks, and underwear. Then they gently get me to my feet, carry me over to my private sauna area, and lower me into a warm bath. Gilberto, who is used to taking care of wounds during his military service, treats my arm and puts a bandage around it. It's not so badly cut, Señor Villalobos, he tells me. It will heal up fine. The bath water begins to soothe me as Ramon hands me a mug of his special sober-up drink, as he calls it. It's hot with a triple shot of caffeine, cream, cinnamon, and some other ingredients that is Ramon's secret. A secret that I don't mind him keeping from me because his concoction always works. I take the 3 codeine tablets he hands me, put them in my mouth one by one, and wash each one down with the hot drink. I slowly start to feel better, both in my body and mind, as I gulp down the last of it. Ramon takes the empty mug from me and hands me another one. I drink this one slowly and let the hot caffeine-filled drink and codeine bring me back to life as Gilberto gently shampoos my hair. Now they get me out of the tub, wrap a towel around my waist, and walk me over to my personal barber chair. Ramon shaves me with a straight razor, and though he is over 70, his hand never falters, nor has his loyalty to me. Finally, they dress me in new underwear, Charvet shirt and tie, and a 20,000 peso Armani suit. Your family is just coming downstairs, Ramon says as he puts a white carnation into my lapel. I walk into our dining area and see my lovely 27-year-old wife, Esmeralda, in a white dress bringing our children to breakfast. Her beauty is that of an angel, and with a college degree from the University of Mexico, she has the intelligence to grace any party and to raise our children properly. Marco is my 5-year-old son and Pasha my 2-year-old daughter. They greet me warmly and then sit down at the table as our cook, Aldonza, serves us a delicious chili tomato stew with eggs and cheese wrapped in tortillas. After we finish eating, Ramon approaches me and says, "Señor Villalobos, your first meeting is at 10 this morning. Your car is waiting for you. "Well, thank you, Ramon," I say, getting up from the table and taking my briefcase from him. I kiss my children and Esmeralda, saying, "Hasta más tarde," and go out my front door. Ernesto and Armando are standing by the limousine. Ernesto opens the door for me and says, "Buenos dias, Señor Mayor." Armando nods to me and asks, "How is your morning going, Señor Mayor?" My mind quickly searches out and selects just the right word. "Swimmingly," I tell him. I get into my limousine and we drive off to City Hall for another day of serving the people. I lean back into the soft leather seat of my limousine. Finally, a moment to myself, a moment not filled with trying to survive the night or put up a good front to my family. Yes, I also have to keep up a good front with Ernesto and Armando, but it's a different type of front. It's a front of being the boss. I close my eyes momentarily, but still remain on guard, because even in a bulletproof limo with 2 well-trained protectors, anything could happen. And if it does, I want to be ready to move, and move fast. But I really don't expect any trouble between here and the 7-kilometer trip to City Hall. The only trouble I've ever had riding to work is when some ignorant peons threw bricks at the limo protesting something or another. Hijo, why are they blaming me for their lives? They should blame the Spanish conquistador for enslaving us Mexicans 500 years ago, forcing us to work in the fields and mines. Conquistador explorers, conquistador adventures. Jesus, what a high-class sounding name for a bunch of thieves, rapists, and killers. Well, some of us got out from under that lifestyle of servitude and some of us didn't. What am I supposed to do? Give a limousine to every field hand that throws a brick at me? Do they think it was easy for me to get here? Let them work their asses off in school and bribe, threaten or kill their way to a seat at the business or political tables, marry a rich man's daughter, and put up with her demands for a wholesome lifestyle. Tortilla-eating peons will always be peons. There's no helping them. And none of them better try taking away what I've worked for. We pull up to City Hall, and Ernesto opens the door for me. But before getting out, I open my briefcase and check to see if Ramon has got my usual things packed. Yes, there's my snub-nose 38 with a box of ammunition, 2 packs of pesos, extra dress shirt, some toiletries, and my cell phone. I never carry my cell phone with me on nights out on the town. If I should lose it, some prostitute could take over the town with it. No, my bodyguards have phones and such to take care of me. That is, unless I dismiss them like I did last night. Christ, I'll never do that again. With no phone to call for help, I almost ended up dead. Anyway, I'm not much good with these new computer-style phones. I can't do much but make calls and read text messages. The rest of that computer stuff, I never bothered to learn. I close my briefcase and get out of my limo. The sun bouncing off of the gleaming white stairs of City Hall half blinds me. I reach into my inside jacket pocket, and sure enough, good old Ramon put my sunglasses in there. I pull them out, put them on, but still it's too bright for me, so I hurry up the stairs with whatever energy remains in my body from last night's adventure. In my outer office, my secretary, Ofelia, stands to greet me. "One of those nights, Señor Villalobos?" she asks sarcastically as I pass her desk. She can guess by my demeanor what I've been up to, and I might as well admit it because my bodyguards will no doubt give her a report about my swim home. "Yes," I tell her. "I really surpassed myself." Ofelia follows me into my office holding her agenda tablet. Before she can rattle off my daily schedule, I tell her, "Do me a favor, will you? Reschedule today's appointments. If I don't sleep, I'll be dead by noon." "Sí, señor." "And tell Ernesto and Armando to stay close in case I need them." "Of course, señor," Ofelia says, walking out and closing the door gently behind her. I open the door to my lounge area, take off my jacket and shoes, loosen up my tie, and lay gratefully down on the small bed without even pulling back the satin covers. Ah, the satin covers that I once stole from the Utopia. What the hell? That ain't mine with all the money that I blow there. And these are the actual covers that Sophia and I once made love on. As I close my eyes, I imagine that they still carry her scent. Asleep, a dream takes me to a beautiful beach on a clear, sunny day that does not hurt my eyes. There's no one around. It's just me walking on the sand as the waves wash over my bare feet. It seems to be a beach at Cat Island in the Bahamas, where I visited a couple of times. What a wonderful feeling to be in the neutral mode and just existing, not being in the protection mode and just surviving. I look far down the beach and see the figure of a young woman in a white bikini. Her long black hair is blowing slightly in the wind. I feel like I know her, but she's too far off in the distance to make out the features of her face. I begin walking towards her, but the distance to her remains the same. I walk faster, but do not succeed in getting closer. However, I don't feel frustrated. I'm just happy that she's there. I wake up feeling so good, like I've been on a real vacation. I look at my watch, and Santa Lucia, it's 3 p.m. I straighten my tie, put on my shoes, and go to the outer office. Buenas tardes, Señor Villalobos, Ophelia says. You really had some catching up to do, didn't you? Yes, it was a long night, I tell her with a sigh. So I heard. Have Ernesto and Armando been telling tales about me? Ophelia looks around to see if anyone is nearby and then whispers, Did you really visit every house last night? I give her a nod and a smile. And you had a woman in every one of the houses? She asked, raising an eyebrow. I think for a moment and then say, Is that what those 2 bodyguards of mine have been telling you? Lies and exaggeration is what that is. I quit having women after the Diamond Penthouse. It wouldn't have been every one of the houses until after the next one. Ophelia lets out a quick giggle and then controls it. Oh, by the way, she says, we've been getting some strange comments on the City Hall website. I've been deleting them, but they keep coming up, so I turned off the comment function for now. What kind of strange comments? I asked her without much concern. Well, they're not comments, really. It's just one word. I can't imagine. I say with a chuckle. It's probably bullshit. No, the word is borsalino. Borsalino? Sí, señor, Ophelia says. About 10 emails came like that. Can you trace the sender? I ask. I suppose so, but there's no way of knowing for sure, especially if they steal a phone and use it to make comments. My mind starts contemplating the meaning of this, the coincidence of this, or if it's a coincidence at all. Don't you have to be a signer in on the website to leave a comment? Sí, señor. That's a strange thing. You have to have an email address to leave a comment. But that one word has it blocked somehow. But it can't be traced, right? I say, trying not to show too much concern. Sí, pero we have to bring in someone better with a computer than me. I turn and head back to my office. Call my home and get Ramon Gilberto on the line, I tell her. Is there some meaning to this borsalino, señor? Beyond a high-price hat? No, I just need to speak to them on another matter that came to mind. I enter my office and close the door behind me. I sit at my desk waiting for Ophelia to connect me, wondering if I had come home wearing my borsalino, or if I had lost it on the way, perhaps going through the forest or falling down in my backyard. Of course, being so drunk, I would not have noticed if it had fallen off of me or not. However, I probably came home wearing it last night, and Ramon Gilberto took it to clean it up. God help me if I had lost it during my fight with the De La Vega. I have Ramon Gilberto on the phone, senor. Ophelia's voice over the intercom snaps me out of my mental march to the firing squad wall. Sure, we abolished capital punishment here in Mexico in 2005, but life in prison would be the same thing to me. When poor people go to prison, they get better food and accommodations than they usually have, so they probably love it. But to go from my lifestyle to a bed with regular sheets or no sheets will be hell for me. I pick up my desk phone. Bueno, Ramon? Sí, señor Villalobos, comes Ramon's voice. And Gilberto is on the line too. My Borsalino? Sí, señor. Did I come home last night wearing my Borsalino? There's a momentary silence on the line from both of my men, and then Gilberto says, I don't think so, señor. No, señor. No Borsalino, Ramon says. Quick, I tell him. Go to the backyard and check for it. It must be there. Sí, señor, Ramon says. I'll check, Gilberto says. Un momento, por favor. My mind is now racing. Please let it be in the backyard. Christ, my hat could be lying there on the floor of the iguana right now, hopefully picked up and taken away by one of the girls who could see its value. Jesus. God help me if the policia found it and the girl said it was worn by the man who killed De La Vega. There's no saving me if anyone at the iguana can identify me. Sure, I'm in tight with most of the policia, and I'm the boss over the jefe de la policía, but there's only so much that they can cover up. Only so much money can buy. But I'm getting way ahead of myself here. It must be in the backyard. No, señor, comes Gilberto's voice back on the line. It's not there. Did you search the entire garden? I ask calmly as I can. Sí, señor. Should I check myself? Comes Ramon's voice. No, I tell him. If it's not there, it's not there. I hang up the phone without so much as a con permiso to my good men. That's how frustrated I am at this moment. Suddenly, my desk starts vibrating. No, it's my cell phone. I pick it up. Bueno? I say, but there's no answer. No tone. Oh, it's not a call, it's my message alert. I'm still not used to this phone. I touch the message button and see one word. Borsalino. Who is this? I send. Borsalino. I receive. I hate typing these things out and rarely reply to any of my text messages, but I send, tell me who you are, or I'll block you. I wait. Nothing comes back for a full minute. If it's one of those two pricks Ernesto or Armando making a joke, they're fired. I think to myself. But thinking again, I know they would never jeopardize their job. And if it isn't a joke, they would never have the balls to blackmail me, if that's what this is all about. The more I think about it, that's what it seems. Blackmail. Someone found my Borsalino hat at the scene of the killing, figured out it was me, and now wants pesos for their silencio. I'll give him silencio, all right. I'll give whomever it is silencio for the rest of his life. Silencio in his grave. My phone vibrates again. I see La Serenata. 9 p.m. 100,000 U.S. cash. No weapons, no bodyguards. What the hell is this, I think. But I know the answer. Yes, I was right. Blackmail. 100,000 U.S. dollars is about 1.3 million pesos. What's with that? An Americano blackmailing me? No, just some Mexicano that wants to get to America. Whomever it is knows that it was me that shot the De La Vega, and that my Borsalino will go a long way to help prove that in court. I'm the only one that wears such a hat in this town, and most people in town know that. Hell, my Borsalino would tie me to the murder as much as my fingerprints would. But of course, It's not only my hat that will convict me. It will be this blackmailer who witnessed the murder and picked up my hat. His testimony will be what will get me free room and board, courtesy of the Cerezo Hermosillo prison. However, there were witnesses that could testify that I acted in self-defense, that De La Vega came at me with a baseball bat and a knife. But then again, did anybody see anything? They were all sleeping. And besides that, most of the people in this town would love to see me dance at the end of a vigilante group's rope or rot in some federal prison. No, I can't trust any so-called witnesses. And why does this person want to meet me a la serenata? Why not the Wiguana, where I shot De La Vega and where I must have lost my Borsalino? My mind goes over my last night's swim home. Let's see. La Serenata, all of last night is as much of a dream as walking on the beach while I was sleeping. Nothing happened a La Serenata. Nothing happened anywhere except for my fight with De La Vega at the Iguana. Oh, there was that sweet young girl that I chose not to screw. What was her name? Mi amiga? No, that was at the Amiga Caliente. It's no good trying to remember. I mean, it's too much of a blur. I can't figure out last night. But I can sure as hell figure out a plan for tonight. I type out the message. Money okay. Time okay. But meet me a la escalera. La Serenata, the message comes back. I wait a full minute before I send. La Escalera Santa Ana suite or no money. There's no reply. I wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, nothing. So I tell Ofelia to have Ernesto and Armando bring me my limo out front. I say hasta mañana to Ofelia and go outside and get into my limo to go home. I ride with Ernesto at the wheel and Armando sitting in back with me. After about 5 minutes, my cell phone vibrates in my jacket pocket. I pull it out and read, agreed. I guess the greedy blackmailer is more interested in getting the cash than where he gets it. Agreeing to the change of meeting place shows that for sure. I have my suspicion of who he might be, but I'm not sure. But whomever it is, I make sure to get my Borsalino back. That's a damn expensive hat. $100,000 hat. Take me to my bank, I tell Ernesto. Si, jefe. I check my list of numbers in my cell phone and find La Escalera. It's not on my favorite list page, but I have it just the same. I hit the call button. A sexy woman's voice answers. La Escalera, may I help you? Yes, this is Rodrigo Villalobos. I want to speak to Alejandro. Un momento, señor Villalobos. Very quickly, I hear. Alejandro Garcia speaking. How may I serve you, señor Villalobos? Alejandro, I need your Santa Ana suite tonight. All night. Si, señor. Do you want the usual amenities? No, nothing, I tell him. All I will need is complete privacy. Si, señor Villalobos. You won't be disturbed. I'll be there before 9 tonight, but if anyone asks for me or the room, send them up with a key. I understand, señor. Can I have your private cell phone number? Of course, señor, he says, and gives it to me. I punch it into my phone and make it a favorite. Thank you, Alejandro. See you around 8:30. I hang up. So we're going to La Escalera tonight, Armando asks me. No, I tell him, as I look out the window of the limo to see that we are approaching my bank. You and Ernesto can have that night off. Are you sure, señor? It's best that we are both with you in that area of town. If I survived last night on my own, I can certainly survive tonight on my own. Armando nods to me in agreement. It's 5 p.m. as I arrive back home with my briefcase holding $100,000, 10 packs of $10,000 each. I go upstairs to my bedroom to take a shower and get into some fresh clothes. As I enter the bedroom, I see Esmeralda sitting on the sofa near the window. She's wearing her don't touch me face. I don't see that face often, but now it's not the time for me to have to deal with whatever her problem is. Buenas tardes, mi amor, I say to her with sincerity. Tú eres un cucuy. She yells at me as she stands up. Most women become even more beautiful when they're angered, but not Esmeralda. She turns downright ugly when she's pissed off. And what kind of a monster am I ask her. She picks up an ashtray and throws it at me. Her aim is good, but I block it with my briefcase. However, her accusation hits me dead center as she says, "You were with 7 different women last night." I try to play ignorant. "Where did you hear that?" "My friend Rosalia called and told me." She growls as she grabs a table lamp, but decides it's too heavy or too expensive to throw at me and sets it back down. "It's all over town," she scowls. "Who's going to call me next? Father Hernandez at St. Mary's?" I don't answer her rhetorical question. I just shrug my shoulders apologetically. Esmeralda looks at me, shakes her head, takes a deep breath, and lets it out. "Look, I'm sorry you had to hear it that way," I say, sitting down on the edge of the bed, but still holding onto my briefcase for protection. She walks over and stands next to me. As she takes another deep breath, her face starts to return to the sweet beauty that she is. "Why do you do things like this?" I move the briefcase to my lap, worried that she might attack my most prized possession. Frustrated with my non-reaction, she sits next to me on the bed. After a few seconds, she speaks to me in her normal voice. "I know there is something in you that makes you do these things. But your escapade last night is just too much. You have children, Rodrigo." "I'm sorry about all this," I tell her. "But sometimes I just have to blow off steam. All the pressure, I guess." "Can't you handle the mayor's office?" "The mayor's office is not it. I can handle that fine. It's this straight life you and your father set up for me. I can feel both of your eyes on me when I come home." "My father's been gone for 2 years and you still feel like that? I could understand when he was alive, but not now." "Well, sometimes when I look at you and your wholesome ways, it's like he's judging me through your eyes." "Well, he never liked it when you chose the street life for business once you got out of the university. But I don't judge you so much, do I?" "No, I guess not," I tell her honestly. "But this wholesome lifestyle that you have arranged after the children were born sometimes gets a little too much." "This wholesome lifestyle, as you call it, is only in our home. You do what you want on the streets. I don't want it to come into our home where our children are. And today it came into our home." "Well, just by the telephone," I point out. "Look, I don't want your fooling around with these women to come into our home in any manner," she insists strongly. When she says that, she has no way of knowing that my journey last night through the whorehouses is the least of it. And if I don't keep my mind on the problem at hand, the street is going to come crashing into our home via the news media when they arrest me for murder. So even though this little heartfelt psychological conversation may be cathartic to her, it's cutting into my time to save my ass. "Look, Esmeralda, I have some important things that need my attention right now." "More important than your family?" she asks, standing and getting angry again. "No," I tell her, "just more urgent." "What's the matter?" She huffs as she heads for the bedroom door. "Is one of your street women making trouble for you?" "It's the men on the streets that make trouble for me," I tell her as she leaves the room. Now I'm in a taxi at 8:25 p.m. on the way to La Escalera. The message said, "No bodyguards, no weapons." And since I don't want to drive myself, I decided it's best to go poverty style. Hijo, who can stand to ride in these piece of junk tin can taxis? Anyway, it's only a 20-minute ride. It could have been faster, but I told the driver to avoid all the slum streets as I've had enough of that filth last night. Too bad as mayor I never took the time to improve conditions in those parts of my town. It's now 8:36 p.m. as we pull up in front of La Escalera. I pay the driver and get out with my $100,000 loaded briefcase. I look around, but I don't see anyone that might look like my blackmailer watching me, so I head inside. Aye, there's that goddamn red wallpaper again. Not as bad as last night when I was hungover, but bad just the same. Bienvenido, señor, Alejandro greets me. The Santa Ana suite is all ready for you. He motions me away from the entrance so we can talk privately. In fact, señor, your guest has already arrived. Oh, really? I say. Just one guest? Sí, señor, just one. A woman. A woman? I asked, truly surprised. Sí, señor. I don't know her, but she asked for you, and I did as you instructed. I gave her a key to the suite. Now I'm really confused. I wasn't expecting a woman at all. My idea as to who the blackmailer could be was wrong. Very wrong. However, nothing to do but to go ahead with the payoff. What does she look like? I asked Alejandro. Well, señor, he hesitates, searching for the right words. She's about 50 or 60 years old, and if you will forgive me, not very attractive. She's dressed okay, but not so nice looking. Oh, and she was carrying a hat with her. A man's hat. A borsalino? Could be. Gracias, Alejandro. No hay problema, señor. Here's another key to the suite. I take the key from him and put it in my pocket. I look at my watch. Still only 8:39. I'll have a drink at the bar before I go up, I tell him. Sí, señor. The drinks for you are always on the house. Gracias, Alejandro, I say as I head slowly to the bar while keeping an extra tight grip on my briefcase. I sit down at the bar and order a shot of whiskey to put some steel in my huevos. As the bartender pours it, I remember the last bartender I had, the one that came up with a baseball bat instead of a drink, so I keep an eye on this bartender, just for the hell of it. I look forward to the taste of the whiskey more than the pain of that bat, I can tell you. As I gulp it down, I feel a hand on my shoulder. Buenas noches, señor, a sexy female voice says. I turn on my bar stool and see Sonia standing there wearing her usual low-cut See My Guanabanas dress. She knows me, but is discreet enough not to say my name. If I had the time for her, I will also need another whiskey to put some steel in my verga as well. But tonight, it's business. However, if everything goes well, I can always come back here to celebrate with her. Buenas noches, señorita Sonia, I say with a smile. ¿Qué tal? Nada especial, she says, putting her arm around me. It's good to see you again so soon. I guess you didn't have enough of me last night, no? Well, last night was very nice, I tell her seriously. Only very nice? When I treat a man that good, I expect a better review than just very nice. Ay, lo siento, Sonia. My mind is on business tonight. I gave you a very good review for last night's performance. I give you a standing ovation. Standing? Even now? She says as she reaches down and checks. Always, when you're around, pero qué lástima. Not tonight, at least not until later. I have business. Bueno, no hay remedio, she says. Maybe later then. She removes her hand, kisses my cheek, and walks off. Another satisfied customer, I think to myself. I must have given her something special besides a big tip. But then it occurs to me, she's not the customer, I am. I'm not servicing her, she's servicing me. Just like in politics, it's difficult to figure out who's screwing who. I feel like having another whiskey before I head up to the suite to deliver the money and get my Rosalino back. But then I change my mind. I have to stay sharp until this thing is over because I'm not sure what will happen up there in the suite. I wasn't expecting a woman to show up, so my plan on how to handle this has now gone right out the window. Rodrigo? I hear a man's voice behind me and wonder what the hell he's doing saying my name out loud in this place. I decide not to turn around and let whomever it is approach me. I hate to have my back turned to him, but it's better for me to remain still and let him make his play. Of course, that kind of thinking has gotten many people killed. Rodrigo, the man repeats as he sits down on the stool next to me. Don't you remember me? I turn my head slowly and see that it's an old acquaintance, Manolo Gonzalez. What the hell is going on? I haven't seen this guy for 15 years. Is he the blackmailer? Manolo, I say, acting happy to see him. ¿Qué tal? I haven't seen you for a long time. Well, not since the bullfight in Ciudad de Mexico, he says, patting my arm. I remember that for sure, I tell him. How can I forget? That matador, what's his name, got killed that day. Sí, Jose Arruza. Got it in the gut that afternoon. We were close enough to see the funny face he made. Ah! He says, sticking his tongue out, mimicking Arruza. Remember? I remember, I say, with my mind saying, this is no coincidence. See, what fun that day was, Manolo says with a toothy grin. We had those two señoritas. They got so turned on by the blood that we had to leave early to take them back to the hotel to cool them off. Oh, I remember the señoritas, of course. But most of all, I remember Arruza lying in the sand, still moving. See, he sure had a bad day, Manolo says with a smile. You know, 1 in 4 matadores is crippled, and 1 in 10 is killed. It's a tough game, I say, trying to look like I'm not feeling the pressure of him being here, which I do. So tell me, Manolo, what are you doing in town? He shrugs his shoulders and motions to the women around us. For the señoritas, of course. Just like you, amigo. Why else would I be here? I give a phony chuckle as I think, this really is too much of a coincidence. He must be the blackmailer. Though it doesn't make complete sense to me because this guy doesn't deal in the kind of chicken feed money that I'm carrying. So now they call you Señor Mayor, Rodrigo? He smiles, nods like a spastic idiot, and gives me a quick hug. You did well. So what are you doing so far from Ciudad de Mexico? I ask, as if it were merely conversation. Don't they have any women there? Oh, haven't you heard? He says. I've moved. I'm just 100 or so kilometers away from here, Manolo says. Up in Costa Rica. I'm friends with Senor Martinez or Guatincia, and I'm down here checking some things out for him. Jesus, it hits me like a bucket of ice water. He's not the blackmailer. He's probably in town about last night's killing. And he's not in this place by chance. He's been following me. He either thinks that being mayor, I can help him find the killer, or he suspects me of being the killer. He's not sure, though. I'll be dead right now because his so-called friend, Senor Antonio Martinez Guatincia, is a well-known and well-connected gangster. If anyone recognized me at the Iguana, and if Senor Martinez has anything to do with the Iguana, or anything to do with Hernandez de la Vega, then I'm a walking dead man. Are you working for him, I ask? No, we're just good friends, Manolo says as he turns on his stool for a moment to check out the girls that are hosting tonight. Then turns back to me and says, Did you hear about the Iguana last night? Hijo, there it is. It's here for the Iguana. Just exactly why, I don't know, but I'm screwed. See, I get all the policia reports in my town. I tell them, as calmly as I can. Did they find the man? Well, the shooter? No, not yet. I imagine I didn't get a report on that. Well, Senor Martinez is very interested in exactly what happened last night. Oh, how so? His wife has a friend that is a relative of the bartender that was killed. What was his name? It was just reported to me on the phone. I don't think they gave me his name. Anyway, Manolo continues, the dead bartender's uncle told Senor Martinez's wife that he wants revenge. So Senor Martinez's wife told Senor Martinez that she wants revenge too. Well, you know how that goes. I do indeed. I'm in politics where everyone wants a favor. Exactly right. So Senor Martinez sent me to check it out as a favor to him. I just got in town. Later on tonight, I'm going to check the Iguana and the other places to see what I can find out. Please tell the policia anything you can. I mentioned to him casually. Well, perhaps. But Senor Martinez wants to keep this a private investigation. You know how that is. But if you hear anything, please, let me know. See, for sure. I look at my watch. It's 8:56. Manolo notices and asks, am I keeping you from something? Just a señorita upstairs waiting for me. You mean a whore, don't you? He chuckles. I know he's working me. A rose by any other name, I chuckle back. And she is as beautiful as a rose. I'm sure of that, Senor Mayor, he says as he gulps down the last of his drink. He stands up, pats me on the back, and says, well, keep me posted if anything new comes up about the Iguana. See, of course. Where can I find you? I got a room at the Utopia next door. Same old Manolo, I say with a chuckle. Always first class. That's right. He smiles like a perverted executioner about to pull the lever. I'll be there until this thing gets straightened out. Bueno, I say, standing up. I'll keep you informed. You can contact me anytime via the mayor's office. How about your cell phone? He asks casually, pulling out his phone. Oh, sure, I say. And I give it to him. He punches in my number, and I'm sure he makes me his favorite suspect. Okay, Rodrigo, have a nice time with the whores tonight. Oh, you too, Manolo. Be sure to ask for... I'm about to say Rosita, but I don't need him asking her questions, so I quickly run the names of the other girls in my mind that work there and say, Florencia. She's a good one. Oh, I'll do that, he says, walking away. Adios. Adios, I say, and mentally adding, you bastard, to give me a mental edge. I watch him walk out the front door. Well, maybe he suspects me, or maybe he doesn't. But I've got to really take care of this Borsalino situation and make sure that whomever is blackmailing me is taken care of. But who the hell is this blackmailing woman waiting for me upstairs? Probably one of the girls at the Iguana who got a look at me before I left and then picked up my Borsalino. Well, she's way over her goddamn head, I can tell you that. I've never harmed a woman or a child, but it's getting to be more and more of a bad situation, so bad that someone's head might have to roll, maybe a few heads. And I'll kill anyone, especially Manolo, to keep from landing in prison. It's exactly 9:01 as I enter the elevator and ascend to the third floor where the unknown female blackmailer is waiting to sell me back my Borsalino hat for $100,000. Now that's a Mad Hatter. Except this Mad Hatter didn't get crazy from mercury poisoning like the hat makers in 18th century England did. She got crazy the very minute she thought about blackmailing me. I get out of the elevator and slowly head to the Santa Ana suite just 5 doors away. As I pass one of the rooms, I hear a woman screaming from inside it. Any other place you might think that she was being murdered. But murder victims never scream out, "Don't stop," like this one is doing. This is good. Because if my blackmailer screams out when I kill her, no one will give it a second thought. And when I leave the room, I will get smiles and winks from those that heard her instead of them calling the policía. I take a deep breath, insert the key into the door, and open it halfway. I look inside before entering. The suite is semi-dark with only one lamp illuminating it. The first thing I see is my Borsalino hat lying on a small sofa. I open the door completely, push it to the wall to make sure that no one is standing behind it. Sitting next to my Borsalino, I see, oh God, she is the last person I would expect to be here. Alejandro was wrong. She's not 50 or 60. She's 48 years old, exactly like me. But if looks count, and they always do in her business, Alejandro was right. She does look about 60, and not a good 60. I close the door behind me. This is my blackmailer, I ask myself. This is who I might have to kill. Then it occurs to me, I had in fact killed a child. Her child. And now after all these years, I might end up killing her too, only this time with hands on. Buenas tardes, Rodrigo, she says to me in a quiet voice, not bothering to stand. Buenas tardes, Gabriela, I say gently. This isn't a smiling situation, and I'm glad of it because I couldn't bear to see her broken teeth again. Yes, it is Gabriela Santiago, my 10th grade girlfriend. We were 16 years old when we got attracted to each other. If I remember correctly, she had transferred over from another school to St. Peter's, my private Catholic school. And a cute, fresh thing she was. We started with just the usual dating. But she was so cute. What could I do but touch her? I touched her in the movie theater, touched her in the park, touched her everywhere. Finally, at a friend's party, I took her downstairs to the basement and entered her on a mattress that was kept there for that very purpose. Well, after a few more times, she got to like me, and then love me. But our 3 months of happiness were up fast when she figured out that she was pregnant. Then came the crying and keeping her away from the confessional, because of sacramental seal or not. The priest would have called Gabriela's parents. I know, because I trusted a priest once when I told him I had stolen some money from a grocery store and wanted forgiveness. The penance he gave me was 10 Hail Marys and me servicing him sexually once a week for the next 6 months until he was finally defrocked. Anyway, I found out where to send Gabriela to get her right. She agreed to go and understood why I couldn't go with her. She told me everything went well. But what does she do a few weeks later? Right, she wanted to be forgiven, so she told about the abortion in the confessional. The priest told her parents, and they sent her out of town. 3 months later, her parents moved away as well. I never saw Gabriela again until last night at La Serenata. However, I have to say that Gabriela never told on me. I know that her parents put lots of pressure on her to say who got her pregnant, but she promised me she would never tell, and she never did. Good for her. It makes it even harder for me to kill her tonight, should that solution to my problem become necessary. But wait a minute. I saw her last night a La Serenata. Not the Iguana, where I killed De La Vega. Now what's going on here? I walk over to Gabriela and sit down facing her. Now looking at her with sober eyes. She's not as bad looking as I remember her last night, but still her face has been dissipated by years of drinking, smoking, bad food, and bad treatment. I set my briefcase on the floor and say, Gabriela, why are you doing this to me? After all these years, she starts off quietly looking at the floor. I thought you would ask about my life since we last met. I did wonder after seeing you. I lied. Well, I guess I don't have to tell you anything about my life because as you saw, I ended up at La Serenata, and it's one of the worst places in this business, if you can call it a business. Are you treated well? I ask her seriously. I could make a call to see that you are. Oh, my boss, Geraldo, treats me well enough. In fact, he's the best boss I've ever had. It's the customers, she says quietly and slowly. You can see by looking at me, no one will want me for regular things. I'm just there for customers that want, nalgadas dura, things like that. Yes, I understand, I say. Actually, I'm curious what happened to her. So before I walk out of this room with both my borsalino and my cash, and perhaps stepping over her dead body, I ask her gently, what happened after you quit St. Peter's and left town? Well, I want you to know, she starts slowly, that I never told on you, never mentioned your name, not even after I left town. I appreciate that, I say softly. At first, I went to my cousin's apartment in Saltillo, she says, still looking at the floor. I enrolled in a public school there, much different than St. Peter's, I can tell you. I didn't like the nuns when I was at St. Peter's, but I sure missed them when I got into the new school. The nuns only threatened us with a belt, but at the new school, they had a belt for real and used it. Anyway, I graduated. After that, I got married a few times, got involved with some bad men, did some bad things, did jail time for a year. When I got out, I started working bars and taking care of men sometimes. Then, all the time. I moved around and now I'm back here. Yes, here with my borsalino, I add to get to the subject at hand. But before we talk about that, she says, looking up at me for the first time, I have to tell you one more thing. Of course, I say, figuring she's going to apologize for blackmailing me before she ups the price of her silence, as all blackmailers do once they have you on the hook. That place you sent me for the abortion, I never went. I suddenly feel like I'm not inside my body, like I'm watching the two of us from some other place. What are you telling me? I hear myself say, but know the answer. See, our son is alive. I didn't raise him, but I know him and he knows me. I meet him sometimes. Not here, away from here. But I still meet him. Where is he? What is he doing? The words come out of my mouth. After he graduated from high school, he went to work at the Chrysler assembly plant in Toluca del Ardo. Oh, that's a good company, I say, as I come back into my body with the shock starting to wear off a little. If he plays his cards right, he could be set for life, if the plant stays open. Gabriela nods. He takes some classes so that someday he can get off the assembly line and into management. Smart kid, is all I can come up with. I shake my head to shake off this subject like a dog shakes off water. Is that what you want this money for? To help him? There's no way to help him, I tell her, working up my anger again so that I can take control of the situation and end it. No, she says, but I'm sorry this happened. You need this money so much that you have to blackmail me? She replies slowly, stumbling over her words. It's not. It's just that. I stand up and say, where did you find my hat? You work a la Serenata. Did I lose it there? When you were a la Serenata, I started to talk with you, but I guess... See, I'm sorry about that. I was drunk and I was busy. She shakes her head and says, no, I don't care about that, but when you left there, I followed you to the Diamond Penthouse and waited outside for you. Why did you follow me? I guess I just wanted to talk with you. You're the father of our son, so I was curious about you and maybe I would tell you about our son. I'm sorry, I was drunk and doing some stupid things last night, so I didn't feel like talking. Well, you came out of the Diamond Penthouse in a few minutes, so then I followed you to the Iguana. You went inside, and right away I heard screaming, and then a gunshot. After that, I saw you leave. Was I wearing my borsalino? I didn't notice then. I just saw you leave. Some of the girls came running out of the place, and since there was no more noise, I went inside. You went inside after you heard and saw all that? I've heard and seen worse, Gabriela said, matter-of-factly. Inside, I saw a dead man, and near him was your hat. I picked it up, and I walked out. I looked for you on the street, walking down the street, but you were gone. Why did you pick up my hat? Just because it was yours, I guess. Is that when you decided to blackmail me? She slowly stands up, turns, and walks to the far corner of the room as if what she had to tell me needed distance to do it. No, I never thought of blackmail. I stand up and take a few steps towards her so as to push her to get at the truth. So you went back to La Serenata? I ask sternly. She puts her back against the wall for support as she starts to tremble. Right there on the street, I was grabbed from behind. Who grabbed you? I don't know. He stayed behind me and put his hand over my mouth. Un americano? No, americano. Mexicano. How many of them? I asked sharply. There was only one that grabbed me. He told me that if I screamed, he would kill me. He told me to keep the hat, not mention this to anyone, and that he would contact me later. He said he'll be watching me all the time, and if I should try to leave town, he will kill me. Well, I have no place to go and no money to go anywhere, so when he let me go, I walked back to work. But he did contact you again, right? Yes, he came into my apartment this afternoon before work. He knocked on my door and told me to open it and turn my back to the door. He came in, grabbed me from behind again, and told me to be at this room here at the La Escalera before 9 tonight and to bring your hat. And what else? I encourage. Just to tell someone at the La Escalera that I was to meet you in the Santa Ana suite. So when I arrived tonight, the manager gave me a key and sent me up here. I'm sorry about this, Gabriela. I'm sorry I've gotten you into this. No, she says, shaking her head, her voice quivering. I went inside Iguana when I shouldn't have and grabbed your hat. It's my own fault this happened to me. Actually, you kind of did me a favor, I say honestly, trying to console her. If my hat was left there next to the body, I'm afraid my reign as mayor of Ciudad Nuevo Mexico will come to an end, and my reign as mayor of federal prison will start. I give a little chuckle to relax her, but she's still trembling. So, what did the man tell you to do after meeting me here? He told me to bring the money to the cemetery at the back of the La Santísima Church, and if I'm not there by 10 o'clock, he'll find me and kill me. I look at my watch, and it's almost 9:30. Well, you better go, then. Here, take this, I say, grabbing the briefcase and holding it out to her. She hesitates. If I'm followed, he said he will kill me. I won't follow you, Gabriela. It's only $100,000. That's just tip money for me. She hesitantly reaches out and takes the case from me. Believe me, Rodrigo, I have nothing to do with this man. I will never do this to you. I know, I tell her. But best for you to get this money to the man and be done with it. It's American money, so he'll most likely grab it and head to the border as quickly as he can. Then it will be over. She goes to the door, grabs the knob, hesitates, and then looks back at me. In all this horrible mess, I'm glad to see you again, Rodrigo. Me too, I say, and kind of mean it. She nods, opens the door, and leaves. I give Gabriela enough time to take the elevator down to the main floor and then put on my borsalino and leave the room. I look down over the railing and see her on the main floor walking out with the briefcase. I take the stairs for speed. walk to the front and peer out the front door. I see her slowly crossing the street. At the speed she's going, she'll be easy to follow. I step outside and look for Manolo, but thankfully I don't see him. Of course, he might be staking out the place from a hidden distance, but I have to take a chance that he's not here and deal with one problem at a time. My first job is to follow Gabriela. La Santísima Church is maybe a 15-minute walk from here, but at Gabriela's speed, probably 25 minutes. So she'll just make the 10 p.m. deadline the blackmailer gave her. I keep my distance because even though she was told where to meet the blackmailer, he could grab her en route to the church, get the briefcase and run. So I have to be close enough to be able to handle that event should it happen, but far enough not to be seen by her or the blackmailer. My watch reads 9:57 as I see Gabriela approaching the church and then going around the side of it to get to the cemetery. I stick next to the wall of the church that is shadowed by trees blocking the distant streetlights. As I come around the corner, I see Gabriela standing still in the middle of a small dark cemetery. The headstones are old and moldy, and I wonder what name is on the headstone that she's standing next to. I hope it doesn't have the name Villalobos on it. While waiting for something to happen, I see Gabriela touching her right thigh, like she's got an itch there, but then I figure that she might have a weapon strapped to her leg, a gun or a knife. That's all I need, is to have her blasting away when things get hairy. I'll have to protect myself from her as well as the blackmailer. I mean, if that's the case. 5 minutes of waiting in the deadly quiet and still no one shows. A strange feeling starts to come over me. I wonder what it is. I finally figure out that I'm actually worried about Gabriela's safety. I've caused enough trouble in her life, so I don't want to be the cause of ending it. Suddenly, from behind Gabriela, I hear a voice say, "Don't move, and don't turn around." My body tenses up, and I push myself against the church wall as much as I can. I see Gabriela standing as frozen as the tombstones around her. Out from behind one of the dark trees that surround the cemetery comes the figure of a tall man. First, I see the switchblade knife in his hand. Jesus, every night a switchblade, I think. Then I concentrate on his face, but he's wearing a nylon stocking mask. "Keep standing still or I'll cut your throat," he says hoarsely to disguise his voice. I wonder when will be the right time for me to snap into action. Experience has taught me to hold back as long as possible to see all the angles of a dangerous situation. However, I figure the guy plans to kill Gabriela, and I don't want that to happen. I could pull my snub-nosed 38 and cancel his ticket from here. But is he working alone? Is there someone else behind the trees covering him? "Set the briefcase down," the man instructs Gabriela. "Don't hurt me," Gabriela pleads, almost inaudible from where I'm standing. "Don't worry about that," the man says, which I know to mean from criminals that he intends to kill her. Well, in the game of knife versus pistol, pistol always wins. I pull my 38 and walk towards the two of them. The moment the man sees me, he grabs the briefcase and turns to run. He falls flat on his face as my bullet knocks him down. Gabriela remains frozen, even though I know I should keep my pistol trained on the man. I let my pistol arm hang down as I walk coolly into the cemetery. I guess I'm doing that to put on a macho image for my old girlfriend. I'm sure she's impressed. "Alto, señor," comes another man's voice from behind the trees. "Drop the pistol." I drop it and put my hands out before he has to tell me. "Help me," the man on the ground with my bullet in his back calls weakly to the other man. I see the dark figure of another man come out from behind the trees, his chrome pistol gleaming in the ambient streetlight. He's also wearing a nylon stocking mask. I look over at Gabriela's terrified face and tell her, "Have courage, mi amor." She nods slowly. I notice the fingers of her right hand moving slightly, like she's getting ready to grab whatever weapon she has hidden. The man gets closer, and I can see that he is shorter than the first one, but with wider shoulders and more strongly built. Well, it's what I suspected in the first place. One tall, one short with muscles. Both of them had access to my cell phone. Who else could it be but my two bodyguards? "Put the gun down, Armando," I order him. "Bullshit," he says. "Bring the briefcase over to me, Rodrigo. The name is Señor Villalobos to you," I tell him. "Rodrigo, you arrogant prick. Bring me the goddamn briefcase." "Well, come and get it yourself." Armando waves his gun at me and yells, "You have everything in the palm of your hand. Money, women, power, and you never share it. Never gave a damn about anybody but yourself, so now I'm taking my share. Hand over the money, Villalobos, or I'll pull the trigger." Ernesto, lying wounded on the ground, groans out, "Kill him, Armando, kill him! You and this other maricon lying here were pretty good bodyguards," I tell Armando calmly. "But you two really stink as criminals. I paid you well and treated you well, and this is how you repay me?" "What are you doing, Rodrigo?" Gabriela whispers. "Not to worry," I tell her. "Pick up the briefcase, Rodrigo, or I'll fire," Armando warns. Suddenly, there's a flash of light and the sound of a gunshot that comes from behind the trees. Armando takes the bullet in the back and falls almost face to face with Ernesto. It's actually kind of funny seeing the two of them lying there, mortally wounded and having to look at each other in the face. One screw-up looking at the other screw-up while each of them is dying. Life can often be so entertaining. Two more dark figures come out from behind the trees, a little deeper back. Ramon and Gilberto are not only my long-trusted housemen, but damn good shots. I kind of figured it was my two bodyguards when this afternoon's text message read, "No weapons, no bodyguards." No bodyguards indeed. Who were these two soon-to-be dead men trying to fool? Me? Sure, they tried to be clever, sending me the agreed text in the limo with Armando sitting next to me and Ernesto driving. But even me, with simple technical skills, knows it's an easy thing to have a text ready to go and secretly hitting the send button when driving. "Gracias, Ramon. Gracias, Gilberto," I tell my men as they approach, their pistols still aimed at Armando and Ernesto. Gabriela finally unfreezes, turns around and looks down at the two wounded men. I think I see a slight smile come to her lips. I guess she's had enough ill treatment from men like these, so she's not shocked to see them dying. She's just relieved, perhaps self-satisfied and maybe even empowered. I hope so. "Let us go," Ernesto says weakly from the ground. "We just wanted..." The bullet from Ramon's pistol stops his plea. "Ay, Madre de Dios," Armando pleads. "She's not gonna help you," Gilberto tells him, and then pulls the trigger of his 9mm. I look over at Gabriela and see an expression of satisfaction as she stares down at the two lifeless men. As for me, I love traitors. You can kill them quick without giving them any last requests or last rites, and you know it's okay with God. "What do we do with them, Señor?" Ramon asks. "Do you think you can get the two of them into one of those graves?" I ask. Gilberto quickly gives the cemetery a quick look and then says, "Say, I think over there will be okay for them. It'll take about half an hour. We'll take care of it, Señor," Ramon says with certainty. "Okay," I say. "I'll see you back home." I pick up the briefcase, take Gabriela's arm, and lead her out of the newly populated cemetery. "And gracias, Señor Villalobos," she says as we walk. You have called me Rodrigo since the 10th grade, I tell her. No sense in changing now. Gracias, Rodrigo. Gabriela and I walk through town and head back to the Zona de Tolerancia. As we do, I make a decision about her and decide to go back to La Escalera. Usually I would never enter any place, not even a brothel, with someone looking like Gabriela does. But somehow I don't mind tonight. Alejandro is right inside as usual. Un momento, Gabriela, I tell her. She nods and I take Alejandro aside. How can I help you, senor? Alejandro asks me. I need a very special favor from you, Alejandro. Sí, señor. Favor that I will pay you much for. Sí, señor Villalobos, anything. I want Senora Santiago to have use of your Santa Ana suite for the next 3 or 4 days. I want her treated with great respect. I want you to have someone buy a cell phone for her and have your personal number in it to call you when she needs something. I want you to have her meals sent up to her and let her receive any items from me such as clothes, toiletries, and such. And I want you to see to it that no one bothers her. Alejandro nods. The Santa Ana suite is still available as you left it. Do you both still have your keys, senor? Say, we'll go up to the suite now, have a talk. A little later, I'll call you to send up some dinner. I turn to the wall for privacy, open my briefcase a crack, pull out a pack of cash, and hand it to Alejandro. I hope you like American cash. Está bien. He smiles. ¿Cómo no? Gracias, señor, I tell him, and then take Gabriela's arm and guide her to the elevator. Now, as we enter the suite, I see the bed. It occurs to me that just about 18 hours ago, I had the beautiful and earthy Sonia on it. Now I'm stuck in the same room with Gabriela. Not beautiful, not earthy, and with no use for this bed. Ay caramba, how quickly things change. I'll have some food sent up soon, I tell Gabriela. Gracias, Rodrigo. I don't know where to begin, I tell her, as we sit down, her on the edge of the bed, me on the sofa. But I have an idea for you. I look at her and realize what a pendejo I've been for judging her looks. Armando was not far off calling me an arrogant prick. But I am what I am, and that's what made me successful. Now, however, perhaps I can do something for someone else for a change. See, I'm listening, Gabriela says, when my hesitation becomes too long. Un momento, I tell her, and pull out my cell phone. I punch in 040. Yes, I need the number for La Serenata Bar, and please connect me. I look at Gabriela. What's the name of your boss again? Gerardo? Sí, pero what are you doing? No hay ningún problema, I tell her as I hear the phone ring on the other end. La Serenata? Comes a woman's voice. This is Rodrigo Villalobos. Put Gerardo on the line quickly. Sí, señor. Gabriela looks at me worried. Gerardo speaking. Señor Gerardo, this is Rodrigo Villalobos. Sí, señor. Sí, señor Mayor. How may I help you? You have a woman named Gabriela working for you. Sí, Gabriela. I wish to buy her from you. For how long, señor? Forever. Sí, señor Villalobos, you can have her. No, I want you to give me a price that you're happy with. I want this to be a pleasant transaction for you, and then I want you to forget her. Sí, señor. How about... He pauses and then says, hesitantly, how about 10,000 pesos? It's so low I want to curse him, but I say, 30,000 pesos? That will be fine. No, señor. I said 10,000 pesos. Okay, señor Gerardo. I have 30,000 pesos hand-delivered to you in 24 hours. When you receive it, Gabriela is history to you. Of course, senor. Gracias. I punch off my phone. I look at Gabriela and see her trying to hold back tears. I get up and grab the tissue box from the nightstand and give it to her. Okay, well, you heard. You're free from Geraldo now. Next, I want you to stay here for a couple of days. I'm going to arrange a doctor to come in and give you a checkup. Some massage, a beauty parlor women to come in, a dentist to see about reconstructive work on your teeth. I see Gabriela lean down on the bed holding tissue to her eyes. Well, perhaps I'm going too fast, but you get the idea. Why are you doing this? She asked quietly. I did many bad things in my life. I tell her without emotion. Most of them needed to be done, I suppose. I don't know. Most of them I can never fix. What I did to you at such a young age, forcing you to leave town, cannot be fixed. But what the hell? Maybe if you're willing to trust me again, trust me like you did in high school, I can get you to a better place in life. Is this really happening? Sí, como no. There's a knock at the door. I didn't order food yet, I say, as I walk to the door. I guess Alejandro got overzealous because of the cash I gave him. I open the door. Rodrigo, can we talk? Manolo says, standing there, stone-faced. Christ, I'm so goddamn stupid to let my guard down. I try to do something right, and what do I get? This pendejo bastardo. Manolo, I say with a fake smile. ¿Qué tal? I'd like to talk with you again, Rodrigo. I'm sorry, but I'm entertaining a young woman right now. The woman you're with right now is neither young nor someone that you want to entertain. I saw you two go up in the elevator. Well, she's an old friend that I happened to meet, and we want to talk a few things over, I tell him. But I know I'm just stalling the inevitable. Is that a Borsalino hat you're wearing? Manolo asks in a sudden change of subject that tells all. Sí, es un Borsalino. I just come from the Iguana, and there are a couple of whores there that say the man who shot Hernando de la Vega was wearing a Borsalino. In the first place, I will never go to a rat hole like the Iguana. And in the second place, how would they know the difference between a Borsalino and a baseball cap? Well, that's true, he says. But I want you to come with me to the Iguana so the two whores there can take a look at you. You're joking, Manolo. I'm the mayor of this town, and I'm telling you that this is a matter for the policia to handle, so you should report what you think happened to the policia. That's where you're wrong, Rodrigo. It's a matter for Senor Martinez, and since I represent him, it's also a matter for me. Now, are you going to let me inside, or do I have to bring my men up here? Men? Yes, right down there at the bar. Pedro, Juan, Basilio, tres hombres duros. If I have to wave them up here, you're in big trouble. I have men of my own, Manolo. You have two hombres burying your two other hombres right now at the church cemetery down the street. And I don't think you have any other hombres with you. You see, me and my hombres have been following you all night. But what happened at the cemetery is a matter that is not connected to you, the Iguana, or anybody else. You know, Rodrigo, I feel foolish standing here like some whore chaser who's getting the door slammed in the face for a lack of funds. With three of the men downstairs ready to move on me, I have no choice but to let him in the suite and play it by ear. Maybe the $90,000 that remain in my briefcase can have some effect on the situation. Sure, I tell him. Come on in for a minute, Manolo, and let's work things out. He steps into the suite, and the first thing he does is look at Gabriela and makes a face. I feel like slapping him right now, but I have to keep calm to somehow defuse him. He pats his chest to let me know he's packing. But he didn't have to do that. I know he is. I'm packing too, of course. And he knows it, if he actually saw what happened at the cemetery. Well, we can talk all night, Rodrigo, he says. But whatever we talk about is going to end up with you and me going over to the Iguana and meeting the whores that were there last night. He looks over at Gabriela again. Do you work at the Iguana? No, senor, she answers quietly. She works a la serenata, I tell him, to keep her out of this. But I know she's stuck in it. What was all that killing about at the cemetery? I shrug and tell him 2 of my bodyguards got out of line and I had to fix them. That's all. Out of line. Well, it's no big deal. They wanted to get me into the drug trade and I wasn't having any of that. I'm the mayor, I told them. I can't get involved with no cocaína. But they wanted money from me to get into it. I said no. They said to bring them $100,000 in American cash to the cemetery or they would attack my family. So I took the cash to the cemetery, had 2 of my other men follow me and put those 2 traitors out of their stupidity. It's simple. There's the briefcase over there with the money as proof. Plus you said that you and your men saw what happened there. So what's the big mystery? Manolo walks over next to Gabriela, who stands frozen, just like she did in the cemetery. And what was this fea puta doing there with you? She was part of the setup to handle the situation. You asked a whore to help you take care of business? She's an old, trusted friend from high school, and I needed a woman to deliver the money to keep those 2 backstabbers off guard. Well, that's a nice story, Manolo says with an ugly smile. But I like the fairy tale called Cámara Prohibida better. You know it? See, that's not one I read to my children. I read it to my children, Manolo says, walking over to me. It scares the hell out of them. The evil wizard who dresses like a beggar and goes from house to house asking for money and then steals the prettiest girls he can find. I like that story. I said, I know the story, Manolo. And then you should have told me that fairy tale instead of the one you just told me. I told you what happened at the cemetery, that's all. You told me what happened at the cemetery, not the real reason it happened. You say you saw it, I tell him. You see the briefcase here? And that's what happened. See? He says and nods, stopping just a few centimeters from my face. And I see you wearing that fancy borsalino. Aye, that again? See, that again. Because I told you the man that did the shooting at the Iguana was a borsalino wearing hijo de puta. Look at me, Manolo. Look at me. Would a man like me, the mayor of this town, ever want to be seen in a smelly sewer like that? How would you know that it's smelly? I shake my head at him. One does not have to walk through a sewer to know that it's smelly. Manolo takes a few steps back from my face. Sin embargo, he says, shaking his head back at me. Everyone I talked to say that the mayor of this town visited every whorehouse last night. See, I was out last night, but only at the Utopia, here at the Escalera, and then a la Serenata. And why would a person like you go to the smelly La Serenata whorehouse? Manolo asked. I told you already. I needed Gabriela's help, so I went there to meet her. And you never went to the Iguana last night? Manolo pushes. I have never been there, ever. Manolo puts his hands on his hips. Fine. Then let's get this all straightened out by going over there for a few minutes and talking to some of the... Look, Manolo, I interrupt him. I have a way to make this come out good for both of us. Both of us and your 3 men down there. Oh, well, I'm all atención, señor mayor, he says with sarcasm. I look at Gabriela standing far behind Manolo, next to the wall. I see her right hand moving slowly down to her thigh. I hope she's not thinking about doing anything before I can fix this. I got $100,000 in this briefcase, I say, pointing to it. No, actually, $90,000. If you stop this foolishness about me being at some dirty brothel when somebody was shot, I can see my way clear to give you, say, most of what's in there. How about all of what's in there? He teases. The whole 90,000 is very possible if you just leave me out of this whole quasi-investigation of yours and let the policia handle it. Manolo smiles and crosses his arms over his chest. You know, Rodrigo, I never thought for a minute that you were involved in that shooting. Never thought a high-class act such as yourself would ever set foot in a place like the Iguana. Bueno, I say, reaching for the suitcase. Until now, you lying gangster of a mayor, until you offered me that money, I was just going through the motions of checking you out. But you did it, didn't you? It doesn't matter if I did it or not. Just take this money and have a good time. And you don't have to share any of it with your men because I won't talk. So that thing at the cemetery just now was connected to the killing at the Iguana, wasn't it? Not really. Bueno, ahora entiendo, Manolo says with a grin. You were fixing something about the Iguana tonight at the cemetery. Were those two hombres blackmailing you, and that's why you have this money? Don't make me guess. Tell me. Take the cash, Manolo. Manolo laughs and reaches into his jacket pocket. I figure he's going for his gun and rush at him. He steps back and comes out with his cell phone to call his men downstairs, or Senor Martinez, to tell him he's got his man. Either way, cell phone or pistol, I have to stop him. I hit him in the face, and he staggers back to where Gabriela is standing. She pulls out a pimp sticker from under her skirt and is on him in an instant, aiming for his neck, but missing and plunging it into his shoulder. The prostitutes that I'm used to don't carry ice picks, but the ones with Gabriela's age and experience often have them when they expect danger. And I guess Gabriela taped one to her leg for tonight's blackmail dilemma. Manolo screams out, but I quickly cover his mouth and push him up against the wall. Manolo drops his cell phone and grabs the pistol in his jacket, but I grab the cylinder with my right hand to keep it from revolving into place and firing. With my other hand, I grab Manolo's throat. Let me go, he snarls at me, his face contorted with pain as he tries to pull his gun out. While I choke him, I growl through my clenched teeth. You know, Manolo, you have the same expression on your face as that matador had when he was gored. And you look just as funny as you said he did. He releases the grip of his pistol and grabs my throat with both hands. Gabriela pulls the ice pick out of his shoulder and holds it ready to stab him again. In the eye, I tell her, but she stabs him in the chest instead. She hits the breastbone so it doesn't go in deep enough to slow him down. Stop this, you two, Manolo grunts loudly as he continues to choke me. Gabriela reaches in his jacket, grabs his pistol, and points it at his head. No! I hiss out at her. The shot will bring his men. She tosses the gun onto the bed. Manolo is strong and I can't take him choking me, so I break free and move back. Gabriela grabs a large table lamp as Manolo staggers over towards the bed to get his pistol. She brings the lamp down on his head. Neither the lamp nor Manolo's head shatters, but he's knocked down to the floor. Still, he has enough awareness to reach for his cell phone that's near him on the floor. I stomp on his wrist with the heel of my shoe. Manolo screams out as his wrist breaks. As he rolls over on his back holding his wrist, I jump on him and cover his mouth with both of my hands. He brings his knee up between my legs, and though he's not dead center, the pain makes me roll off of him. All right, enough of this shit. I grumble. I grab the pistol from the bed as Manolo springs to his feet like a headless chicken scrambling for his life. I point his own pistol at him, and he freezes. Los tres hombres, Gabriela says, though she didn't need to remind me that a gunshot would get all three of us killed. Stop this, Rodrigo. I'll take the money. Manolo coughs out, looking ridiculous with the ice pick in his chest. We can fix this. But Gabriela hits him in the face with the table lamp. I hope Manolo's scream gets lost with the music and noise downstairs as I toss his pistol back on the bed. Manolo turns and slowly staggers to the door. I dive onto his legs and he falls to the floor, landing on the ice pick, driving it deeper into his breastbone. He howls loudly as he spins over onto his back, writhing in pain. Gabriela gets down on the floor next to us and grabs the handle of the ice pick. She tries to pull it out for another stab, but is buried too deep into Manolo's breastbone and won't budge. Manolo swings his arm and hits her on the side of the head, knocking her away onto the floor. I jump on him, sit on his chest, and pin both of his arms to the floor. You're dead, he groans. You're dead! Stop repeating yourself, Manolo! I grunt at him while struggling to keep him down. You're starting to bore me. I almost get my knee onto his throat, but he turns his head so that it lands on the side of his neck. I press down hard, but Manolo still manages to grunt out, I'm going to kill you, you chingada madre! I'm gonna rape this fea puta! Is he really talking, I wonder? Or is his dying brain just going through random insults? Gabriela grabs a large pillow from the bed and pushes it down on Manolo's face. I continue holding him down as she sits on the pillow to smother him. I feel him struggling for a minute, then another minute. Finally, his body goes limp. I get off of him. Now enough, Gabriela. He's dead. Well, we have to make sure, she says, as she continues to sit on his face. Well, I say, searching my brain for just the right phrase to lighten up the situation. I wonder if Manolo ever thought he would die by a satin pillow with a... I purposely leave out the rest of it so as not to refer to Gabriela as a prostitute again. She's had enough of that. But the idea of Manolo dying with a prostitute sitting on his face gives me momentary mental relief from this overlong altercation. After a few more seconds, I hear Gabriela moan with pleasure. Then she stands up, takes the pillow off of Manolo's face, and stares at him with a satisfied smirk. Next, she reaches down and grabs his crotch hard. He doesn't move. He's dead, she says. I look at Manolo's face with his tongue hanging out. See, he looks like Matador Jose Arruza, for sure. I say to further relieve my tension with humor. Gabriela looks at me with a somewhat bewildered expression on her face and says, Tuve un orgasmo. See? I say calmly, trying to hold in both astonishment and a laugh. Now you know why some of your customers like to get rough with you, I tell her. Well, not some of them, she corrects me. All of them. I grab my cell phone and find Alejandro's number in my favorite list and punch it. Sí, señor Villalobos. Alejandro's voice comes on the phone. Alejandro, I say matter-of-factly, Señor Gonzalez and I have decided to have dinner with Señora Santiago. Sí, señor. I look at my watch and it reads 11:05. How about sending dinner up at exactly midnight? Our business talks will be over by then. And see that Señor Gonzalez's 3 men downstairs get something good to eat and tell them all their drinks are on me tonight. Bueno, Señor Villalobos, Alejandro says. I'll send up dinner for 3 at midnight. Gracias, Alejandro. I hang up. That gives us an hour head start, I tell Gabriela. Any longer and his men will get suspicious, if they aren't already. What do we do now? Well, I believe this place has a fire escape, I tell her as I move to the window. With a name like La Escalera, it better have. I lift the latch on the large swing-out window, open it, look down. Though the fire escape is rusty as hell, it will serve our purpose. I grab the briefcase, put on my borsalino, take Gabriela's hand, and guide her to the window. She looks back at the dead Manolo. Don't worry about him, I tell her. He's a rat. I just want to be sure he's a dead rat, she says seriously. Well, you can sit on his face or grab his huevos again if you want to be sure, I say to humor myself, but know that she'll take it seriously. No, no es necesario, she says, as I guide her out the window. Estoy satisfecha. Even though we have no time to waste, I purposely take it slow going down the fire escape. I've been through too damn much tonight for either Gabriela or myself to get hurt getting down to the street. Once we touch ground, I look around to make sure Manolo doesn't have one of his men covering the back alley. If he does, I'll shoot him dead. But there's no one. We quickly walk to the end of the alley, and I see a taxi parked across the street. In the taxi, I pull out my cell phone and call my banker, Señor Salazar, at his home. Señor Villalobos, what can I do for you? He asks. I need you at your bank right now for some important matters. Si, señor. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Make it 15, I tell him politely. Si, señor. I'll go out now. Next, I punch in my secretary's number. Si, señor? She answers. This is an emergency, Ofelia. Get over to the Bank Norte Bank right now. Si, señor, she says, and knows to hang up fast and get going. I also call Ramon to see how he and Gilberto are doing in their burial duties. He says that things descended nicely and that they should be back home soon. At the bank, Señor Salazar and I are making many preparations. After I take care of signing what I have to, Salazar gets to work on taking care of my needs, which includes calling in a notary public to witness the papers. I go into another room where Ofelia and Gabriela are waiting. Can you tell me what this is all about, Señor Villalobos? Ofelia asks. I sit down and face the women. Now, starting tonight, Ofelia, we are all in a dangerous situation. Now, to survive it, we have to take immediate action without question or hesitation. Do you understand? Si, señor, she says. I'll do what you say. Do you have someone important to you in town? A boyfriend? She looks at Gabriela because of the privacy of my question. It's okay to talk. Gabriela's a trusted friend. She thinks a few seconds and then decides the truth is what's needed. See, I have someone. Very important to you? Sí, muy importante. Well, you're leaving town with Gabriela tonight, and I don't want you to call this man until you get where you're going. And then I want you to tell him that you can't meet him for 6 months. By then, it should be safe for you to invite him to visit you. But not in this town. Never in this town. 6 months without meeting him? Yes, it has to be. Ofelia sighs. See, I can do that. Will he wait for you? See, he will. I think so. Bueno. Tonight, I'll give you and Gabriela $250,000 each in cash. Also, each of you will have a bank card issued by Señor Salazar out there, so that you can have access to another $1,000,000 as you need it. That should give you both a fairly pleasant lifestyle for the next 3 years or so. If things go well, more money will be added to the account. Gabriela doesn't talk, but is listening keenly. Where are we going? Ofelia asks. Irapuato, a fairly nice town. I turn and look at Gabriela. It's only 200 kilometers from where your son works. Our son. Sí que bueno, Gabriela says, looking at me with appreciation. I then turn my attention back to Ofelia. I want you to find separate apartments for you and Gabriela, but nearby. I want you to, well, basically give her some rehabilitation. Doctors, dentists, spas, massage, you know. Sí, entiendo, Ofelia nods. Gilberto will be here soon to drive you to the bus station. Be on your way. Do I get to pack? Ofelia asked. No, it's best you don't go home. Oh, is that serious? See, no time to explain now. Gabriela can tell you all about it when you two are safely on your way out of town. I hope you two can be good friends. At least give one another a chance and have some patience with each other. Ofelia looks at Gabriela. Sí, como no. Gabriela nods at her. Bueno, I say. Well, I have more work to do with Señor Salazar, and then I'll get you the cash and your bank cards. And by that time, Ramon will be here. Gracias, señor, Ofelia says. Gabriela nods to me. Gracias, Rodrigo. It's 1:06 a.m. as Ramon drives me to my home in my Cadillac. I have cash and gold coins stuffed in a leather suitcase in my trunk and American dollars in my jacket pockets. No limo tonight because I have to be undercover to avoid any of Manolo's men. That is if you can call a Cadillac in my small town undercover. Gabriela and Ofelia were taken to the bus station. Sin ningún problema. Ramon told me that Armando and Ernesto's bodies will never be found because they're now residing with some hombre that died in 1937, so that part is also taken care of. Gilberto delivered the cash to Gerardo at the Serenata to buy Gabriela. Now he's at the house preparing Esmeralda and the kids to leave. And so far, Manolo's tres hombres have not made their appearance. They most likely found Manolo's body once the dinner was delivered at midnight. And then they probably call Antonio Martinez to see what they should do next. Martinez is one smart, tough gangster. He'll probably tell the tres hombres to wait for a hit squad that he'll send down, which means that they couldn't possibly get here until 2 or 3 in the morning. Now, if the tres hombres just stay put and wait for reinforcements, I have just enough time to evade them. As Ramon turns the car into the road that goes the final kilometer to my house, he asks, "What is your next move, senor?" "I'm going to get all of us safely to Utopia," I tell him. "With respect, senor," he says hesitantly, "I don't think holding up at the whorehouse is going to stop Antonio Martinez's hit squad." "No, not there," I tell him. "I mean the Utopia at the Golfo de Mexico." "Ah, sí, that one. Pero are you sure you want to run, senor?" "What else can I do, Ramon? I can't call the policía and risk them finding out about me killing De La Vega or Manolo. I will either be killed in prison by some convict bought by Martinez, or if not convicted, I'll be killed at home by Martinez's men. So I have to get me and my family away. What else can I do?" "You can stay and be a man," he says, turning onto the final street to my home. "What do you want me to do? Fight off Antonio Martinez's hit squad with my family upstairs waiting to die?" "No, send your family to safety and you stay behind with Gilberto and me. Hit squads are usually 2 carloads of men. 3 of us against that many practiced killers? Is that your notion of fair odds? Well, we don't kill all of them, just 3 or 4, and then duck out the back. We kill just enough of them to keep our honor y reputación." Well, what good is our reputation if we don't make it out the back and wind up dead? I ask him, but I know what his old school answer will be. A man has to show his family that he can fight for them, not run like a wounded animal, even before he's wounded. Even running tonight, we might get wounded or killed. That is exactly right, Ramon says. That is what I mean. They'll catch all of us on the road and come in for the kill. But us men can be men. By dying? I ask him. Have you ever been to a slaughterhouse? Sí, I answer, and know very well where Ramon is going with this. The steers can smell the blood, hear the screaming of other steers. They die with fear. This is why I don't eat beef, only chicken or lamb. I don't want that fear to enter me. I know you're fearless, Ramon, but you know, people say that a bull in the arena dies a better death than a steer in the slaughterhouse. At least the bull has a chance, has dignity. Well, that's true. So how do you want to die? As a steer or as el toro, the bull? We pull up to my house, so I use that as an excuse to not answer, open the door and get out. Ramon gets out and adds calmly, "You and your family will never make it on the road if you don't take a stand here. These men want you. Yes, they could grab your family and hold them. But either way, they want you. So you shouldn't be on the road with your family." I know that Ramon is right. If I don't make a stand here, my family and I will be hunted down on the streets trying to get away. There is no other way to do this and give my family a chance. As Ramon and I enter my living room, I see that Gilberto has done a good job of getting my wife, children, Aldonza together for their escape. They were told only one suitcase each, and I see they did as they were told. But with Pasha, my daughter, is one small suitcase and a teddy bear that she's holding by the leg. Aldonza doesn't ask any questions, as she has served many households that had to go on the run at one point or another. It will be good to have her with us, as her cooking and service will provide some stability for Esmeralda and the children. However, this is the first time for Esmeralda to be suddenly uprooted, and I wonder if I'll have a problem with her. "Rodrigo," Esmeralda says as she approaches me with a worried face. What is this all about?" "It's very dangerous now," I tell her calmly. "I'll explain later, but we have to leave." "Leave where?" "We'll take a little trip on the Utopia." "For how long?" "Many years, I think." "Are things that dangerous?" "Yes, I'm afraid so," I tell her. "Okay then," she says with brave resignation. "We're ready." "Gilberto," I say, pointing to the suitcases, "get these to the car, por favor." "Sí, señor." Pasha grabs my leg. "Where are we going, Papa?" I bend down, pick her up and say, "For a nice drive and then to a fun place." "Are you coming too, Papa?" my son Marco asks. "Sí," I tell him as I look over at Ramon's stern bull or steer face looking back at me. And then I say a stupid thing that I know I'll regret. "Gilberto is driving you in the Cadillac, and Ramon and I will follow soon after in the limousine." I see Ramon's face relax with approval. "Now run along, Marco, and get ready for some real fun." "Sí, Papa." As Gilberto grabs the suitcases and guides my children and Aldonza out to the driveway, Esmeralda puts her arms around me. "Why don't you ride with us?" she says, probably with thoughts of financial security more than affection. "I'll be along soon. You wait for me at the Utopia." "But how will we live?" she asked. Ah, as I thought. With her, it's security first, emotions later. "We have all the cash and gold we'll ever need," I assured her, "and Gilberto knows what to do, so don't worry." "Well, sí, Rodrigo," she says, her financial fears tranquilized. She kisses my cheek and then heads to the door. "Now, this is the way a woman needs to see her man," Ramon says, waving a confident fist at me. "I'm proud of you, el toro." Have you ever seen a dead bull being dragged out of the arena by tractors or mules? This happens to 250,000 bulls yearly around the world. I wonder what their cows thought of their reputations as they were taken to the slaughterhouse. "Gracias, Ramon. You run along too," I say, but I know it's a useless gesture. "I'm not a steer," he says. "I'll go open the vault." He heads off to my den. Gilberto comes back inside and says, "We're all ready to go, señor." "Gracias, Gilberto. In the trunk of the car, you saw a black leather suitcase, right?" "Sí, señor, as I was loading the other suitcases." "No matter what happens, you be sure to put that on the Utopia first. Put them in my cabin." "Sí, señor. First thing, you can trust me." "I know I can, Gilberto, and you did a good job tonight at the cemetery. Gracias, señor. Now take my family to safety. Aren't you coming too, señor? No, Gilberto. Look, it's 1:20 now. It'll take you about 90 minutes to get to the Utopia. That's around 3 a.m. When you arrive at the pier, load up my leather bag first. Get my family down to their cabins, gas up, and then wait for Ramon and me. Sí, señor. Do you have your cell phone charged up? Sí, señor. Always. Okay. Keep its ringing sound at a loud volume in case I have to call you with other instructions. And if Ramon and I don't arrive by 10 a.m. and there's no call from me, then leave for Cat Island on your own. Do you think you can get there? Sí, señor. I've gone there with you twice and know how to work the GPS and where to gas up. See? Very good, I tell him. Just go out the Gulf between Havana and Miami. 2,000 kilometers should take you 3 days. Sí, señor, I can do it, if I have to. Pero, señor... Okay, bueno, I tell him, patting his shoulder. Ramon and I have some work to do, and then we'll be right along in the limo. Now get going, Gilberto. Sí, señor, he says, turning to leave. I watch him go out the door. I don't dare go outside to wave my family off because I would be tempted to jump in the car with them. Of course, with the Martinez hit squad supposedly forming somewhere out there, I could be shot if I go outside as well. That would give Ramon a laugh. El Toro, the bull, slaughtered even before getting into the arena. I hear Gilberto start up the Cadillac and then pull out of the driveway. Well, there's nothing more to do now but join Ramon in the weapons vault and wait for the matadores to arrive waving their swords. Ramon has the weapons vault open as I arrive in my den. It's a 2-meter-high walk-in with enough weapons to start a war. I never figured I need it. But Ramon and Gilberto are ex-soldiers and convinced me to build it and stock it a few years ago. Well, Ramon, what guns should we use? Ramon walks into the vault. Well, I select the most popular weapon in the U.S. military, the M4 carbine. You've got 4 of them right here. He reaches in and grabs one. It's short, light, with a 30-round magazine of 5.5 caliber cartridges. He hands it to me. When you have a hit squad coming to your living room and you want to bury every one of those cabrones, accept no substitution. You really love this shit, don't you, Ramon? Sí, como no, señor. He grabs another carbine. M4 and a shotgun, he says, grabbing a 12-gauge. And one for you too, señor. Sling it on your back for close work when you don't have time to change magazines. He hands me a 12-gauge. Ah, caramba, I really feel alive, he says. Now I know all that bull and steer philosophy Ramon was feeding me was just bullshit and steer manure. He just wanted to get into it with Martinez hit squad just for the excitement. 74 years old, and he wants to go out like Pancho Villa. Ramon fills up a leather bag with shotgun shells and M4 magazines. Come, senor, he says, now obviously in his military mode. The living room is best to wait in. We will turn off the lights inside, light up the outside, and kill anything that moves out there. Y por favor, take off the hat. Will my Loki Borsalino? I ask as I stuff shotgun shells and magazines into my jacket pockets. Oh, that hat has been so lucky for you, he asks sarcastically. Well, you have a point, Ramon, but it's part of me. See? And your lucky Borsalino will be part of your head when it's been blown off because you've got targeted by it. Caramba, Ramon is really feeling his oats now, talking to me like that. Well, in this situation, better a turned-on soldier than a turned-on woman, I think, as I toss my Borsalino into the vault. Ramon picks up the bag of ammunition and heads off to the battlefield. My living room with my just-purchased 100,000 peso Fabio leather sofa. God help any of Martinez's men that put a bullet into that. My watch reads 2:15 in the morning, and no sign of any movement outside. Ramon and I are sitting in the dark on my Fabio sofa, waiting to see if Antonio Martinez will actually send a hit squad, or if only the tres hombres will come, or if no one will come. But Ramon is convinced that a hit squad will come for sure. Finally, I can't take the quiet anymore. Ramon, I say, see? The place we're heading to, Cat Island, has women as beautiful as Aztec princesses. When we get there, I'll introduce you to some of them. Oh, I like that, Ramon says quietly. After a pause, he adds, I wish they were Aztecs. Well, I say, times change. See, he agrees. Goddamn Spaniards. We sit here quietly for another 10 minutes, and then I get the idea of checking to see what happened with Manolo's body when it was discovered and such. Ramon, any reason why I shouldn't call Alejandro a la escalera? Sí, como no, señor. I punch Alejandro's name on my cell phone, and he answers quickly. Sí, señor Villalobos. Did you deliver the food to my room at midnight, Alejandro? I ask him so that he can fill in the details. Hijo, señor. He starts off, his voice shaking. I send up the food as you said at midnight, and my man comes back saying there is no answer. So I go up and check the room and find that dead man. Then his 3 bodyguards ask me what's going on up there. And I have to say that there's a problem, or else they will blame me for not telling them. You understand, don't you, señor Villalobos? Sí, yo entiendo. Gracias, señor. Those men stormed downstairs, pushing people aside, turning over tables, and then they grabbed me and asked me where you live. Well, I told them everybody knows where the major lives. They pushed me up against the bar and threatened me. I told them I don't know your exact address. I just know you work in City Hall, and you're the mayor of our town. Then they pushed me down and left. What time was that? I asked him. Just after midnight, as I told you. Gracias, Alejandro. Sí, señor. What about the cash you gave me for... I hang up. Well, Ramon, the tres hombres found out that Manolo was dead around midnight, like I figured. But there's still no hit squad from Antonio Martinez. What do you say we get the hell out of here? Ramon's eyes light up. He stands quickly, his carbine poised for action as he moves to the window. I follow him so he doesn't kill some goddamn paperboy or a gardener that decided to show up early. We both stay low as we approach the window. Did you hear something? I whisper to him as we both get on our knees by the window. Ramon doesn't answer, but peers outside. You know, señor, I think there won't be a hit squad. I think your tres hombres are looking to be heroes and collect a reward on you themselves. He shakes his head in true disappointment. Qué lástima. This would be too easy. Suddenly, Ramon pushes me to the floor and falls next to me as we hear a shotgun blast with the buckshot hitting the window, but not breaking it. Your bulletproof glass worked, Ramon says. So far, I say. Next, there's a hail of bullets hitting the window, cracking it, but not penetrating it. But I can see that it won't hold up forever. Are you sure it's only 3 of them? My mistake, señor, Ramon says, taking another quick peek out the window. It's a squad of maybe 9 or 10. Shotguns, pistols, maybe no carbines, no automatics. You hope no carbines, no automatics, I say. But we don't know yet. I didn't hear any, and they will have used them by now, Ramon says as if he wrote the book on hit squad procedure. Stay down, he tells me, as he walks bent over to the front door. Those cabrones won't be expecting this. Jesus, Ramon, you love to make it happen, don't you? Maybe so, he says as he unlocks the door, swings it open fast and sprays the front yard, emptying his magazine in 3 seconds. He slams the door shut, bolts it, and laughs. Did you hit anyone, I ask. No, but I scared the hell out of them and told them not to mess with us, Ramon says seriously. Maybe they'll quit. These kind never quit until the job is done, I say. Or until they eat out bullets, Ramon adds. Suddenly, there's the sound of 2 or 3 shotguns blasting away at the same time, coming from behind us. "It's the back door," Ramon says and runs over to the kitchen. I follow close behind him. We see a wave of men running in through the broken door with shotguns pointed. Ramon and I fire a stream of continuous bullets at them, and they fly bloody through the air. Ramon jumps up and stands at the open door and fires at more attackers in the garden, knocking 3 of them down. When he jumps back, I find myself jumping forward to take his place and unload my magazine into 2 more of them carrying pistols. Bringing only pistols and shotguns to this war was their mistake, and our good fortune. No doubt they figured that this would be a simple home invasion that needed only a single bullet to kill me in my pajamas. They must have figured that it was not worth the risk of getting pulled over by the federal police at a highway checkpoint with automatic weapons in their trunk. Standing at the back door, I see 2 men outside on the ground that are still moving. Before I can put another magazine into my carbine, Ramon steps forward and shotguns them both. We're both outside in the backyard now, and we know that going back into the house will mean death. Ramon points to the back wall with his head. I nod in agreement. As he fast walks to the wall, I walk backwards, keeping my carbine trained on the back door in case more of the hit squad comes running out. But none do, if indeed there are more. Did we kill them all? I wonder. It's doubtful. That would be too much to hope for. There must be a few more remaining, but they might be surprised and discouraged by the number of bullets our weapons can hurl at them, and the number of their men that are now lying dead. Ramon makes it over the wall and then covers me while I get over it. He fires, and I look back to see 1 man in the kitchen doorway jumping back into the house. Ramon pats me hard on the shoulder and says, "You see? Now this is what I told you. Escaping with pride, not running with shame." "Sí, señor," I say, and mean it. Ramon motions to the forest that only 20 hours ago I had come through on my stupid swim home. We do a run and cover until we enter the forest, but no one seems to follow us. This time I'm going through the forest sober and with a feeling of virilidad. This time the forest doesn't daunt me. The vines seem to move away from me, when yesterday they seemed to grab at me. I guess Ramon was right about bulls and steers. We arrive at the other end of the forest, and I can see the street where the iguana is. Well, Ramon got us this far. Now it's up to me to get Ramon and I to the Golfo de Mexico. Ramon, we'll be on the streets from now on. What about the weapons? You still got the pistola? See? I got it. We'll keep the carbines. Ditch the shotguns here. I got the bag of ammo. We toss the shotguns to the ground, and I follow Ramon's examples as he puts the stock of his carbine under his armpit inside his jacket. It doesn't hide all of it, but in the darkness, we should get by with it. I pull out my cell phone to have a taxi waiting for us near the iguana, but I change my mind, as we will probably get the driver killed. No matter my reputation, I've never harmed an innocent working man. I've never harmed anyone who didn't have it coming. Vamos, Ramon, I say to him as the new first sergeant. I know what to do. This time, being sober and not making any stops, it only takes 15 minutes to get from the Iguana neighborhood to La Escalera, where Alejandro is flabbergasted to see Ramon and I walk in. Ay, Jesus, Alejandro says uncontrollably. I mean, Señor Villalobos, how can I help you? I need to buy your car, Alejandro, por favor. Please take it, Señor. It's yours. No, I tell him. Is 30,000 American dollars enough? Too much, Señor. It's 5 years old. 20,000 is fine. I pull out 2 packs of cash from my pockets and shove them into Alejandro's hands, who just stands there with his mouth open. Señor, the keys? I tell him. He pulls them out and hands them to me. The red Jaguar Land Rover out front, he says. Just press the key holder and we can find it, Alejandro. Gracias. And then I think of something and turn back to Alejandro. If anyone asks, tell them it was stolen. As a matter of fact, I pull my pistol, put it to his head, push him out towards the bar for some customers to see him, and yell, "Give me the goddamn keys!" Pero señor, Alejandro says, he's either into my act or confused by it or truly scared. I push him again and yell, "Give me the keys!" Since I already have the keys, Alejandro doesn't know what to say. I reach into his jacket, pretend to pull them out, and then head for the door as I hear Alejandro say, "Ay, que noche." Ramon steps out into the street first and checks the area. "Maybe clear," he says back to me. I step out, click the key holder, and the Land Rover beeps and flashes its lights. I get behind the wheel, Ramon jumps in the passenger seat, and we head off. I check the gas gauge. It reads a little more than half. That's 90 minutes of drive time for sure. I gave Gilberto 2 hours to get to the Utopia so that he could drive there safely with my family and wealth in the car. But I know I can get there in under 90 minutes. And if we're chased by any Policía Federal for speeding, Ramon with his carbine can easily flatten his tires. It's now 4:48 a.m. with just 10 minutes of driving time to get to the Utopia. We're on a 2-lane riverside road with only a few cars coming from the other direction and only one car far behind me. But then it seems to me that the headlights I see in my rearview mirror are coming on us a little too quickly. I nudge Ramon, who's been sleeping for the past 40 minutes. "Ramon?" He snaps to full awake knowing he's still on the job. "Sí, señor. I think we have company behind us." He's smart enough not to look back. "Federales?" "Not unless it's in a marked car." "How long have they been following us?" "Not long, but they're coming up too fast, I think." "I knew we didn't kill all those cabrones at the house," Ramon says. "There was at least that one at the kitchen door when we escaped, and there were probably a few more still alive." "Sí, and those hombres could have easily traced us to La Escalera, Alejandro and his car." "I'm sure they did," Ramon says. "And I'm sure they're right behind us now." "I wonder if Alejandro made more money tonight by telling them we took his car." I chuckle. "Or if they just started beating it out of him right away." Ramon chuckles at the idea and says, "This has been a really good time." He reaches up and swivels the rearview mirror to check the car. "Yes, I see them. Speed up and see what happens." I push down slightly more on the accelerator and see the needle go up from 120 to 130 kilometers per hour. After a few seconds, I ask Ramon, "Anything?" "Well, I can't tell," he says. I speed up more. Ramon soon says, "Ah, see. They're coming. It's them." "How many?" "I don't know yet." I put my foot down a little more on the gas. "It's 10 minutes to the yacht," I tell Ramon. "We'll make it there in 5. Put on your seatbelt." "Oh, screw the seatbelt, senor. I have to aim." I push my foot down hard and hold it. "Get ready to fly," I yell as the needle moves to 145. "Ole el toro!" Ramon yells over the roar of the Land Rover's engine and the sound of the wind passing our open windows. It now occurs to me that I've made a great mistake. I've led the Ramirez hit squad right to where my family is. Instead of protecting them, I have endangered them. What should I do now? I can't get off this road with the river to my right and the ditch to my left. So it's either call Gilberto on my phone and tell him to cast off or try to make it to the yacht and risk getting all of us killed. Jesus, I was almost there. I thought I had it made and now this. Going 150 in this ill-maintained road takes great one-handed driving skill. As I pull out my cell phone, I quickly glance down and punch Gilberto's number. "Sí, señor," comes Gilberto's voice. "Cast off, Gilberto," I tell him. "Cast off now." "Pero, señor." "Do it now, Gilberto, do it now." I yell into the phone. "Sí, señor." Suddenly, Esmeralda's voice comes on the phone yelling, "We'll wait for you, Rodrigo." "I've got the enemy on my ass, Esmeralda." I yell back at her. "Cast off and save the children." "Just get here, Rodrigo," she yells. "Give the goddamn phone back to Gilberto." "He's cast off the lines, Rodrigo. He's getting ready to leave." "Good. Leave." "Pero, Rodrigo." I snap off the phone, drop it on the floor of the Land Rover, and put my right hand back on the wheel just as I hit a pothole that bounces the unbelted Ramon around. But as soon as he gets his balance back, he fires a few rounds at the car. "Did they slow down?" I ask him. "No, they're coming. Maybe 4 of them," Ramon says without a worry because he trusts his skill with his M4. "When they get closer, I'll take care of them." "Bueno, señor," I respond. Now that I know Gilberto has taken the Utopia out to sea, I wonder what my next move will be. But I quickly realize that the only choices are to slow to a stop and fight the men on the road, or drive to the pier and fight them there. I figure that the pier will have more cover, so I drive there. Also, if I get killed, at least I see my family cruising away to safety before I die. I'm heading to the pier, Ramon. We'll make our stand there. How long till we get there? He asked. We're almost there now. I see it, Ramon says. He looks back at the enemy car for a second and then says, there are 4 of them for sure. From my side rear view mirror, I see that the car is almost on us. But up ahead, I see the pier. However, I see that the cyclone fence is close with my Cadillac parked on the other side of it, down at the end of the pier. Beyond that, I can see the Utopia cruising away, pushed by its twin diesels. I race towards the cyclone fence gate. As I get closer, I can see the chain on it. Is it locked? Did Gilberto lock it after they entered and planned to open it when we arrived? That would have been good thinking, except for us now having Martinez's men behind us. I aim the Land Rover dead center at the gate. Now hold on, Ramon. We're crashing through. We hit the wire-linked gate, but the chain lock holds fast, and the cyclone meshing stops us like a folding spider's web of steel. The airbags explode in our faces. The back wheels of the Land Rover lift off the ground and then crash back to it. I hear the tires of our pursuer's car screeching as it tries to come to a stop. I look at my right and see the car swerving to the side of the riverbank in hopes of missing the fence, but then hitting a steel fence pole that spins the car off the embankment and into the river out of sight. My ears are ringing. There's a pain in my leg as I look over at Ramon, who's half on the floor as the airbags deflate. He's awake, with his nose bleeding. Ramon, can you move? I ask, pushing on my smashed door. Let's get out of this thing, he says, and gets up. I grab my carbine and push harder on my door. It opens halfway as the cyclone meshing is holding it back, but I manage to squeeze out. I move to the other side of the Land Rover to help Ramon out. Suddenly, there is gunfire, and bullets start hitting the Land Rover and the fencing around me. I pull Ramon out and keep him low. He reaches back into the Land Rover and grabs his carbine. Where are they? He asks. They went into the river, but one of them is firing, maybe 2. And it sounds like carbines. Damn it! They got into my gun safe! Ramon says, annoyed as hell. He yells out at the men below. Stay the hell away from my weapons, you cabrones! I raise myself a little and see the car lying in the shallow river on its side with just one man aiming his carbine up at us. But then I see another man crawling out of the side window holding a carbine. There's going to be 2 shooting at us in a second, but maybe the other 2 are dead or injured. Gracias a Dios, Ramon says as we move away from the Land Rover and out from the fencing. Let's get to the boat. Yacht, I tell him. Ah, cabrón. He laughs. You rich bastards. The enemy gunfire starts up again, and now it sounds like the second man is firing at us. Some of their bullets hit near us, but Ramon quickly moves up on the bank and fires a magazine at the men. The 2 men scramble behind the car for protection. Get a position down the pier, Ramon orders. I'll kill all of them on my own. No, let's go, Ramon. All right then. You climb the fence, he says, and then you cover me. I fire a magazine load at the car below and then jump on the Land Rover and work my way over the smashed fencing as Ramon continues firing on the men below. Then I hit the ground on the other side of the fence. I pop in a new magazine and yell to Ramon, okay, let's go! Ramon fires another magazine at the men and then starts climbing the Land Rover. I fire a few rounds down at the car and then look to see that Ramon is having trouble with his right leg. Either a bullet got it or it was damaged in the crash. Let's go, Ramon! Screw you, senor! He groans as he jumps on the broken fence. I'm coming! But I can see that he's not coming, as his leg is now caught in the broken fence meshing. He tries to move out of it, but he's caught like a fly in a metal web. I get off some shots and then climb up the fence to help him. Get the hell out of here, he demands. I am hit and I can't get out of this bullshit. I look down and see the 2 men from behind the car firing and moving towards the riverbank to get to us. Ramon, I say, let's go. He fires some shots. You go, he urges me. Take a position on the pier. If any of those bandidos gets past me, you can kill them. Well, I kiss Ramon's cheek, climb down the fence, fire some shots, and start running down the 100-meter pier where my Cadillac is parked at the end. I figure that it will give me some cover to fire on whomever gets past Ramon. Midway, I stop and look back as I hear Ramon firing more shots at the Martinez men. I see him trapped on the top of the fence firing his carbine. Then suddenly he jerks back and then falls forward into the twisted wire mesh where he lies motionless. Cabrones! I yell as I fire at the three figures I see appear from below the riverbank. Ramon is the real El Toro. He lived and died as El Toro. But I'll be damned if they'll get me. I'll kill every one of them that has the guts to come down this pier. I run to the end of the pier and get behind my Cadillac. God help the man that puts a bullet hole in my car. I look out to the water and see the Utopia. It's getting smaller as it heads away from me. I hear gunfire and a bullet hits the windshield of my Cadillac. I turn back to the fence, return fire, and see the men duck down. As I grab the last magazine from my pocket, the men fire and bullets hit the side of my car. Maricones! I yell out and fire a few more rounds at them. I look back out at the ocean for one final look at the Utopia and see, not the back of my yacht, but its side. Is it turning? I get down low as more bullets hit my car. I fire back sparingly at the approaching men, making them duck down. I turn back again to the Utopia and see its bow pointed at me. Christ, are they coming back? I told Gilberto to leave. What's he doing endangering my family? Or is it because of Esmeralda? When I'm not around, she has the power and could have ordered Gilberto to come back for me. But that doesn't make any sense, because she's got the money, the children, and the freedom. She doesn't need me. I look back down the pier and see Martinez's men going for positions by covering each other. The bullets are now hitting closer to me as they come in for the kill. I have to take a chance. I fire the remaining bullets of my last magazine at them, drop the carbine, run, and jump off the pier. I enter the water and sink deeper than I thought I would, maybe 3 meters down. I kick up to the surface, and it takes longer than I want. So I get my bearings, see the Utopia coming for me, and start swimming. I move my arms inside my waterlogged jacket and kick with my heavy shoes. How long would it be before Martinez's men are on me, firing at me, hitting me in the back of my head? Maybe 15 seconds for them to get to the end of the pier? 2 seconds to find me in the water, 1 second to aim, and an instant to kill me. All I can do is swim. Keep swimming. I don't even look for the Utopia. If it gets to me, it gets to me. I hear gunfire behind me. I sense bullets hitting the water around me. Then I hear gunfire coming from in front of me. I take a chance, tread water, and look up. I see Gilberto on the bow of the Utopia. He's on one knee, holding his pistol in 2 hands and firing in the direction of the pier. The Utopia is closer than I thought, thanks to its powerful engines. But who's piloting it? Esmeralda? She's never been on the yacht. Cut the motors! I hear Gilberto yell. I begin to swim again, so as not to be a sitting duck in this water. I hear the engine slow down. I hear Gilberto continue to fire. I hope he hits every one of those bastards, but maybe at least he's making it hard for them to take aim at me. I look up, and the Utopia is upon me. It's moving slowly, and I swim to the side, away from the pier. As the ladder passes me, I grab hold. It almost rips my arms off, but I've got it. I look up, and I see Gilberto looking down over the railing. "Hold on, senor," he says as he climbs partially down the ladder to grab me. He gets a strong hold of my jacket sleeve and guides me up onto the deck of the yacht. I hear the motors roar back to life and feel the yacht turning. "Con permiso, señor," Gilberto says, and runs to the stern. He takes aim at the men on the pier and fires. I duck down behind the railing as the Utopia moves away from them, but Gilberto is exposed out there. "Cuidado, Gilberto!" I yell back to him. "They have carbines!" Gilberto fires 4 quick shots at the men and then ducks down behind the railing as bullets hit the side of the Utopia. We stay hidden until we're out of range. Gilberto walks over to me and says, "I'm sorry, senor, but Senora Villalobos ordered me to go back and pick you up." It's okay, Gilberto. Did you bring my leather suitcase aboard?" "Si, senor. First thing, like you said." ¿Dónde? In your cabin, senor. Where are the children? In the main cabin with Aldonza. And Esmeralda? She's driving the boat, senor. It's a yacht, Gilberto. I correct him for future reference. Si, Capitan, a good goddamn nice yacht, he says, as I turn towards the bow. I climb up to the bridge to see Esmeralda at the wheel. Mi amor, I say to her as I approach. You really handle her well. I'm learning to, she says, still in a concentrated mode, gripping the wheel tightly. Gilberto told me you ordered him to go back. Yes, I did, she says plainly. I didn't think you liked me that much to risk yourself and our children to do that. Well, she says, turning to look at me. You're a pain in the ass, Rodrigo, but I will probably need you when we get to wherever we're going. Well, I hope not to be a disappointment and to be of good service to you. Oh, Rodrigo, I'm not sure you're in good enough shape to be of service to me. Except for the bedroom, you never get any exercise these days. So I was afraid you couldn't climb up the boat ladder just now. I did, Esmeralda. I did climb the escalera. And I tell you, from now on, when I think about Utopia Escalera, I won't be thinking about whorehouses. With a beautiful annoyed expression on her face, she slaps mine. Cat Island is a beautiful, thin, L-shaped island here in the Bahamas. About 200 kilometers southeast of Nassau. That's where the Utopia is now, sitting in the water, right off the beach. The Utopia in Utopia, so to speak. Not bad for a yacht named after a whorehouse. The Utopia is a 13-meter Princess V-39 yacht that is compact and luxurious, with the power and fuel capacity to get us far away and fast, should the need arise. It has a large front cabin where Esmeralda and I sleep. Another cabin has twin beds for my children. Aldonza sleeps on a sofa in the main cabin where she serves our meals. Gilberto, when he's not sleeping at his new native girlfriend's cottage, sleeps on the deck. Sometimes I check all of us into one of the hotels for a few days, for the sake of variety, but we usually stay aboard the Utopia for the sake of security. With the cash and gold that the Utopia carries, I figure that our family can live in pretty good style for the next 50 years. Of course, after a few years, when I feel it's safe enough, we'll move to a bigger island and put most of our wealth into safe deposit boxes, with some investments and trust funds for Esmeralda and my children. Using internet banking, I make sure that Gabriela and Ofelia get their monthly money, but I haven't been in touch with them at all. It's safer that way. Esmeralda, the children, Aldonza, and Gilberto have enjoyed the 2 months we have been on Cat Island. Thanks to the internet and daily mail service, we have everything here. Our first delivery had toys for the children, beachwear for Esmeralda, and tortillas for Aldonza. When I asked Gilberto what he wanted, he said, I have always admired your hat, senor. Can I have one just like it? So now, there are 2 Borsalino-wearing Mexicanos walking the beaches of Cat Island, because I also ordered a replacement hat for myself. With a population of less than 2,000, I have to rely on the tourist women to get any real action here. They come floating into this island like beautiful mermaids out of the sea. I like the new experience of having to use my conversational charms instead of my money to hook and land and mount these mermaids on my trophy wall, so to speak. However, I'm now using some discretion when it comes to women and keep those activities to the daylight hours, sneaking into their hotel rooms when my family thinks I'm out walking the beach. Gilberto and I keep a watch out for anyone arriving on the island that might be working for Antonio Martinez. Should that happen, we'll cast off and go to another of the 30 islands that are inhabited here. Of course, I'd make sure to kill 1 or 2 of Martinez's men before running. I won't want to disappoint Ramon, who's watching me from heaven. For his sake, I have to remain el toro, the bull, and kill anyone that comes against me, just like I did that De La Vega bartender, right in the head. However, until the day any of Martinez's men arrive, if ever, I'll just relax, play with my children, and enjoy the island. You know, it's funny. I was never one for exercise, but here on Cat Island, with the warm turquoise-colored water always inviting me, it seems like I'm constantly swimming.
This has been the Ronin audiobook production of The Mexican Swimmer, written by Paul Kyriazi and performed by Julian Scott Urena. It was produced by Larry Metzger, executive producer Linda Kay. Recorded by Eric Passarge at Victory Studios, Hollywood. Copyright 2014. All rights reserved.